Hello, and welcome to a supercut episode of Wheel of Horror. Today we're talking all of the Phantasm movies. So, over our 400 episodes or so, we've covered all 5 of the Phantasm movies, and I figured I'd put them all in one big episode so we can listen to them all together. So the episodes will just kind of seamlessly go into the next one, and it'll go in order, so if you like Phantasm, you're in the right place. And, yeah, enjoy our discussion on the Phantasm series. Welcome to the Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week, it chooses the movie, and they discuss it. Today we're talking about the 1979 film Phantasm, which was directed by Don Coscarelli. I'm Alec.
I'm Eric.
And this is a strange movie.
Yeah, get out of here, Stranger Things. This is as strange as it gets.
This is like a fever dream of a movie.
yeah, it's trippy. It's just straight up trippy. It was fun.
Yeah.
You know?
You watched this movie like 2 weeks ago, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not fresh off the top. You just watched it like an hour ago, right?
Yeah, I literally just finished it. But yeah, do you remember most of it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, dude, the ending is just kind of a blur, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think even me just watching it, the ending is still kind of a blur. I'm like, what
yeah, no, for real. It really, like, it's like, hey, it's like watching poker. It's like the movie starts off, it's like, all right, hit me, and it's like doubling down like every like other scene. It's okay, this movie's off the rails at like the third act.
Well, it's weird because yeah, it just starts off and you've just got this like pretty weird sex scene and just one boob. And you're like, okay, there's like she's
left
like
or right, I couldn't tell. But
she's like, you can only see this one sort of thing. He's like, okay, like because she's like purposely covering the other one, and then yeah, they have sex, and then all of a sudden you see this old man flash, and then he dies, and you're like, okay, which brings together these. It seems like it was like 3 childhood best friends, like Reggie, Jody, and then this guy Tommy, and then Tommy dies, and it brings them all back together for his funeral, and that's what kind of kicks the movie off. But here's the thing: why is this happening now? You know, like this is their whole childhood, this town. You know, so like, why all of a sudden now is this like funeral parlor just like, hey, I'm gonna start killing people in the town?
If I had to guess, it's like not a small town, but a town that's kind of dwindling out, and all the dead people are a lot of older people, and a lot of the young people are like moving out. So the tall man has to be like, I got to get the young folk that are still living in their hometown.
This is like the last ditch effort to like, okay, like we're about
all the
to
old
leave.
people are dead. There's no one else dying off. Like, got to go after young people now.
Huh. Okay. Yeah.
If I had to guess, if I had to say something, but
that's interesting. No, yeah, because they are aliens. Like that is what it is. Like he's an actual alien who's there turning whoever dies, I guess, into these like small
demon dwarf things.
Yeah, and then teleporting them back to the planet that he's from. So yeah, there's a lot there. This kind of reminds me of like Evil Dead a little bit in the way that it was like super low budget, and then it just kind of like it was apparently filmed over a year, but like on weekends with like friends and stuff like that. Like this was very like low budget.
Yeah, only 300,000, which is about $1 million today. It did very well. like it made like 100 times back its money. It made $22 million, which is more like 75 times its money, but dude, really impressive.
It's crazy because yeah, like apparently the director was like 24 when he made it, and his dad like put up the money for this. He's like, all right, try it out. And yeah, for this movie to make that much money, and then the sequel doesn't come out for 9 years, you're like, what the fuck happened?
There must have been nothing out in theaters in 1979 at this time, or something. Like it must have been like a February, when it's like really low, shitty movies out in theaters.
Well, it came out in March, yeah.
Was
this your first time seeing this?
Yes, yeah, it was.
Okay.
A coworker recommended it to me back in October, and I was like, yeah, he was like, oh yeah, you should definitely do Phantasm. It's like one of those horror movies that's like super cult classic. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'd seen it a few times before this, but like I don't know if I've ever met anybody that's seen it really.
I thought initially, I knew nothing aside from the poster. I saw the poster before seeing the movie. And like there was an old like man, the tall man, but didn't know he was called the tall man. I just knew the poster and that it was a cult classic. I also like my mind went to it's a phantasm like with orgasms, so like sex was going to be involved, and it kind of kicked off that way. Like the movie starts with like a woman having sex and then killing someone, so it's like like at the orgasm the phantom comes out. I don't know. My mind is not that healthy.
That's not that crazy of an idea. Like, it's sex that kills you kinda thing, like a ghost orgasm. Yeah, like, that's not
Am I
that
far off? Like, what is Phantasm then?
no, that's not what the movie is, but, like, for somebody to see, like, the trailer and then immediately see the movie, and then that's what happens at the beginning, you'd be like, "Huh, I wonder if it does have to do with orgasms." Like, you that's not crazy. Like, I don't think that's insane.
What
I
is a
don't
Phantasm, Alec?
I think what a phantasm is so apparently the title was taken from, Edgar Allan Poe. Apparently, he used it a lot to describe, like, supernatural things or ghosts or stuff like that, and the director was a big fan of that, so he just made it like, "Oh, there's, like, spooky things happening, so this is phantasm."
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
that's apparently what this is. So, actually, the first time I saw this movie, it's kind of an interesting story. No, it's not that interesting, actually, but so I saw this when I was probably, like, 8, and it was me, my mom, and Bailey, and Zach Simpson. So, my
Oh, wow.
mom was showing us to us as kids, and Zach's mom came home, and my mom and she just started watching a little bit of it. I don't remember what scene it was, but it was something pretty graphic, and she's like, "Hey, Dina, can I talk to you outside for a second?" And, like, pause the movie. We're like, "Okay, like, what's going on?" And she's like, I don't want my son watching this kinda thing." Like, because remember Zach, like, we talked about it on the
Oh,
podcast
he
too.
couldn't watch Harry Potter.
He couldn't watch Harry Potter, he couldn't watch Goosebumps, he couldn't watch, like, literally anything. So my mom's showing us this at, like, 8 or 9, and, like, this is a pretty graphic movie, I think, for a
Was it
kid.
on TV? Was it, like, PG'd
Nope.
out?
We rented it. I remember
Okay, okay.
I really remember this because it really freaked me out as a kid. I
Yeah.
was it's pretty scary, and the kid Michael, I was like, "Oh, he's kinda like my age," sort of thing. So, like, this is, like, kinda scary because he's a kid,
I
but
think we were at that age of getting really curious about, like, what's the scariest movie? What's, like, I remember, I think I saw The Exorcist around 9 or 10,
yeah.
or even before, maybe it was 8, I don't remember, but damn, dude, I used to watch. I would want it, like, being a young kid, you just, like, you wanna see the most, like, scary thing, the grossest thing, and,
Yeah,
stuff like so, yeah,
and then you end up
that's
sleeping in your parents' bed for, like, literally a month.
2
You're like
months, 3 months on end, depending,
you're
depending.
like no, seriously, I was the same way, like, I was, like, always just like, "Oh, I wanna see this," so I 100% remember my mom liking this movie as a kid. She rented the VHS, showed it to me, Bailey, and Zach, and his Zach's mom walked in and was like, "Alright, shut it off." But yeah,
Uh,
this movie really scared the shit out of me as a kid, and watching I feel like I've seen it one other time since then, and a lot of it started coming back to me as I was watching it. A lot of
yeah.
it. The theme really was like, "Oh, yeah." It's like The Fog.
Very John Carpenter-esque,
Yep.
yeah, for sure.
It's a lot like The Fog. A couple of weird little trivia things too. Apparently, they were filming this because it took a long time for them to make this movie, and the Jawas were in the Star Wars trailer, and they had already filmed a lot of the dwarves stuff, and they were like, "Fuck, that looks just like those Jawas from Star Wars," and they were gonna go back and replace the robes, make them different colors, but they're like, "We filmed too much, we can't do it."
No
So
shit, so they they kinda were like, "Oh, man," it's like Deep Impact, Armageddon, like 2 things coming out at the same time that weren't supposed to.
well, because this was so
Tombstone, White Earp, you know?
yeah, well, they started filming this, I think in like 76, and it took them forever to finish it. And then all of a sudden, as they're filming it, they're like Star Wars. They're like, "Oh fuck, this looks so much like it." But yeah, so that was something I thought was kind of a little interesting. But yeah, it's pretty scary, honestly. Like a lot of
Yeah.
it's just so weird. I think it's surreal, so it makes it scary.
Yeah, there was parts that were scary, but I really liked how the tall man would walk and you'd hear his, like, footsteps, like, the
Yeah,
hard, heavy, like, metallic steps.
his steps and also the way his arms like waved, like they like it was like so unnatural. It was almost like a person trying to pretend to be a person, kind of.
Yeah. His name's Angus Scrimm, the actor. Passed away in 2016, but that same year, he was in the last Phantasm movie.
Dude, he's in every Phantasm movie.
He must have been like 90 years old in Phantasm Ravager in 2016.
Yep. So he was
So he passed away before it was released, but he was in it.
he was 90 exactly. He was 90 when that movie came out, which it just like think about that. Like
You live, breathe, and eat the tall man.
I mean, so the first one came out in 77, the second one came out in 88, and then every like 5 or 6 years after that they came out, and then the fifth one. But every single actor, or like the tall man, Reggie, the ice cream guy, and the brother Jody, they all come back for all of them. And the same guy wrote and directed all of them too, which is just freaking crazy.
I
But
think except for the last one. I think he produced the 2016 one.
you're right, you're right. There was a little bit of, controversy apparently, though, on the second one. So, They brought back everybody for the second one except for the kid who played Mike.
The best
Apparently
character.
yeah, I thought he was the best actor in the movie, but apparently, yeah, Universal was like, "We don't want him," and they're like, "Okay, like we kind of need him," and they cast some other guy, but apparently Brad Pitt was up for the role. He was supposed to play it, and then he didn't get it, but some other actor got it, and then the audience was like, "What the fuck is this? This is bullshit." So then in the third, fourth, and fifth one, they brought that guy back. They're like, all right, I was out.
Really? So he was out of the second one, and they're like, you know what? Let's bring back the OG, and went from there.
Because people got pissed. Like apparently the
Like that.
audience where they were just like, "You brought back the tall man, you brought back the brother, you brought back Reggie, and that you don't want to bring him back, and he's the perfect age, and like all this stuff." And yeah, people were pissed off. So
It's like the opposite of Back to the Future 2 with Crispin Glover. It's like
yeah,
the opposite scenario.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. People were like really pissed off. Like, all right, we're sorry. Jesus Christ. What do you think of the ending though?
Oh, I hate like it was all a dream. But then they'd like, hey, it was all a dream. But also, your brother's dead. It's like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
there was no like car crash before. Like, what? I tried to like overthink it. I thought about it too much. Like, what the hell's going on?
I think it's simply budgetary problems that like fucked up the story making sense because it makes no sense what happens.
Well, that final shot of him at like the graveyard and the tombstone, which is like an in-ground tombstone, like that looks like it was just hacked together, and that shot is just shaky. It's just like, oh, he's looking up, and I was like,
I
they
mean,
must have shot that with like 5 minutes left and the day late or something. I don't know.
dude, it all right. So like it makes no sense. So Reggie is driving the ice cream truck. He crashes. Mike goes out to see. He's like, oh, he's dead. And then he gets hit in the head. And then the story continues. And then randomly, when they get to the mansion, Reggie's just there. And he's just like, hey guys, I freed these girls. It's like, Reggie, you're alive. Like, holy shit. Then he gets stabbed. And you're like, he's dead. We got to get home. And then after that, it was just a dream. And the brother's actually
No,
dead.
after that, dude, it was like, we got to take him to the mine shaft. It's like,
Yeah.
the mine shaft?
Yeah.
What? Of course, that's where we can kill him. This mine shaft that drops down for 200, 300 feet. We should
1,000.
definitely throw him in there.
Yeah. And yeah.
Do you
And
have
the
a place
best,
if you were getting chased by somebody? Do you have like the water tower? Like that's where we need to go. Do you have a place in mind?
Avon Mountain, maybe?
Yeah, like let's push him off Avon Mountain.
Yeah,
Like
we'll run and we'll jump out and he'll just jump off the edge.
I just like the mine shaft idea. Ugh.
It's so stupid, but the other part that's so dumb about it is the brother Jody's like, I'm gonna go off and take the barrier off the mine shaft. Like, you stay here. And he's like, okay. And he stays there. And then all of a sudden the old man comes out. So he's like, oh shit, I guess I'll run to the mine shaft now. Hopefully it's all working out. So the plan just like works out miraculously. But also, so the tall man, he just can't die. He like the same thing happened twice. Jody's like, I'm gonna go do this, and then the kid escapes, and the old man dies trying to capture the kid at the house. Like the same thing happened twice.
Yeah. I think this is just a great excuse to like get really messed up on drugs and watch a movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This
Yeah.
is a perfect movie to watch really high.
Like this came out late 70s, so like the 80s were like, hey man, Phantasm 3's coming out. You want to get like really ripped and go see it? It's like, okay. That's probably like half the people that go see those movies.
Yeah, it's just very dream sequency. The music's like weird. It's kind of got this like 70s cop TV show vibe to it sometimes. Like
Like
um
Spicoli from Fast Times would definitely go see this movie.
oh yeah. And dude, the Jody character is such a poor man's Harrison Ford.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, the hairstyle, like everything about it, you're just like, oh man. But yeah, none of these actors really went on to do much aside from these.
Nah, no. There's some good parts in it. I really like the idea that he could lift a casket easily.
Oh yeah.
The Undertaker, I was like, oh, that's pretty. And if you look at that casket, it's like cardboard.
Well,
Like you can kind of see it like moving. Like,
dude, that's how young I was that the first time I saw it, that didn't even phase me because I didn't know how heavy a coffin would be. So I was so young, I was like, why is it a big deal? Like, is it
yeah,
a really big deal?
I've been a pallbearer like 5 times, and caskets are so heavy. So that like idea of him just one-handed lifting that thing up is like, dude, crazy.
Yeah, no, yeah, it really is. Yeah, he's apparently not that tall in real life. He was shorter than Jody, so he had to stand on apple boxes a lot to like make him appear a lot taller most of the
Ruin the movie. So he's like the average height man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's actually pretty much exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't really that old, but yeah, he has a very just disturbing face to him. And it's very that shot always scares me when Mike's sleeping, he's having the dream, and he just appears behind him, and then the arms rip out and start like, scratching him or whatever, when he's in the bed.
Yeah.
Dude, that one, that always scares me. And that line that like, boy, like that's
Boy.
pretty
Yeah.
notorious. That's like a horror line that people are like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly what I was saying. Like, there's some really good horror parts in it. Like, the insect scene is like really kind of cool. Where like,
Wait, which part?
when he like is about to stick the insect down the drain, and
Yeah.
like his finger turns into the insect. I thought that was cool. It was
Dude,
ridiculous,
dude,
but
that's okay. That for me, I was like, okay, this is where the movie ran out of its budget when they had to like pretend it was in the shirt for like 30 seconds. You're like, okay.
yeah, they definitely blew the budget on like the sphere ball thing that flew and like drilled through that guy's head, and they cut the fingers off. It's like, all right, we're out of yellow goo.
Yep.
We're out of everything else. Like, I know we wanted like other hands, but we only have a finger this time, and the finger is gonna turn and do this insect that's like silly string and pipe cleaners.
Yeah, I honestly the ball looks really good. I thought
Yeah.
that especially that shot where it was like flying right at him. I was like, how'd they even do this?
That's where they blew their budget, I think. Like that whole mausoleum stuff.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, little tidbit of trivia for you.
Ooh.
Apparently, J.J. Abrams is a very big fan of this movie, and Captain Phasma is actually apparently named after this movie
The
because
Gold Stormtrooper. There
the
you go.
sphere is the same kind of color, and he's like, "Oh, it looks like the ball from Phantasm. Let's call her Captain Phasma."
Oh my god.
I don't know if that's actually true,
That's
but
wild.
I did read that, and I'd like to believe that's actually real.
I think this movie made more sense than Captain Phasma's death scene, but we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
Yeah, one
No,
day.
but the other good part I liked was like the car. Remember he gets trapped into the car. He would be dead if the car was like you were holding up a car. But
Mm-mm.
I like that is to me is like one of the scariest things to me is like getting stuck under a vehicle like that. Like we were changing something.
Yeah, no, that dude. All right, first of all, that car is awesome. That
Yeah.
car, they must have spent. It's kind of like our
It's a
movie
Cuda.
too, like Mission Impossible. Like we got these cool ass cars. We
We
like,
got a
hey,
1970 Chevelle.
1971 Chevelle.
Oh, I thought it was a 70.
I'm pretty sure it's 71. I got to double check with Billy. We got that,
Okay.
and then we got the Porsche for that too. So we like same thing with this guy. He like asked a friend. He's like, "Hey man, you get a cool car. Like we use it in our movie, like sort of thing." I thought it was pretty cool. But that car was sick. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Did you happen to watch this with the subtitles on?
I watch everything with subtitles on.
Did you see like when the like demons were talking in the background? It'd be like warbling.
Yeah,
Like what the hell is warbling? Warble, 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 warble.
yeah, that's what I would imagine. But the noises were pretty scary, dude. I
Yeah.
thought they did a good job. That scene though, where Reggie's driving and you hear like warble noises. He's not acting.
Warble.
He's not acting like he's hearing anything. He's just kind of like, oh, what's that noise? Oh, it sounds like a dog outside. It's like, dude, that thing is on your car. It's warbling. It's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, warbling. That's when you know it's about to go down when you hear that in the subtitles.
Yeah. Just the other thing too, like, so what the fuck is this movie? Like, so Jody was what is he like a musician? He's off on the road. It's like, hey, I heard you back in town. It's like, yeah, my parents just died, so I'm here to take care of the kid, I guess. Like, what is
But
happening?
their parents have been in the mausoleum and died too.
Right.
So like, has that kid just been living in that house by himself for like a couple of years?
I don't know if they like recently
Or
died.
is it Reggie? Reggie?
So Reggie's the ice cream man, and Jody is Mike's brother, the young kid, and so Jody and Mike are brothers, and Reggie's the friend. So yeah, so Mike and Jody's parents died in a car crash, and they're in that mausoleum. So I guess Mike's just kind of like hanging out, and he's sad. He's chasing his brother everywhere,
Yeah.
and then he's like, I gotta take off though. The kid's 16. Like, come on, like he's
He's
fat.
probably gonna ship him away. Like,
Yeah.
geez. Like, he like overhears it. He's like, maybe you should say that like more out of earshot than where
Yeah.
you said it. Like,
Well, and dude, you know what's fucked up is in the second one, he is in a mental asylum and he escapes.
no way.
Yeah, that's where it starts off because it's like 10 years later. And like Mike's like in a mental asylum. He's like the tall man, like,
Oh.
because where does the movie go from here? It's like Reggie's just like, hey man, like I'm not dead, and let's just like explain the movie away. Because what does he say? He's like, let's just go off together in the sunset, dude.
I wish he was like, you know what? I got some fudgicles in the back that make you brighten up your day. I wish he said something like about ice cream.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. That would have made sense with ice cream.
This movie does have everything. It's got sex. It's got shag carpet. It's got ice cream, demons, jean jackets, cool cars. Like,
Okay.
it's got everything.
Dude, speaking of everything, what the hell is that scene where that like older black lady comes out the door? She's like, "Hi there," and he's just like, "Oh Jesus, you scared me, Marnie." And then
Yeah, what?
and she's in his house. Like, what? was that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was about.
They
Dude,
never
this movie doesn't make any sense, come to think of it.
I feel like that
Like,
was, like, an inside joke. They're like, "Oh, man, we should get, like, Sarah to come in and just, like, scare him for no reason." It's like, why?" It's like, I think it'd be funny. It's like, no one's gonna get this, dude. It's just like, yeah, it may be funny.
another thing, they go to that, gypsy sort of woman
Mhm.
with the crystal ball. We never see her again.
I know.
Like, the point of that whole scene was like, oh, and you don't even see, like, the young girl again, or is that young girl one of the girls
Uh,
in the cars?
yeah, she's one of the because you
Okay,
can see that
there you
stupid
go.
star thing on her face. You're like, "Okay, what okay." But,
Okay,
dude
so the old gypsy lady taught him not to be afraid, and that's why he was able to go through the portal.
sure.
That's the only, yeah, point of that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, but apparently a couple things about that. What seems weird is at the end when he walks out, doesn't it seem like they kinda laugh like we tricked him sort of thing? Is it was it just me or it looks like they look at each other and they kinda give this, like, kinda, like, smirk, like, "Ha ha, like, idiot." Maybe I'm
It
crazy.
felt like, yeah, like, oh, what an idiot. He just paid us for that.
Yeah, but the thing is okay, maybe that's it. They're like, "We just gave him advice," but the box disappears when he puts the money down, so you're like, "This is real magic." Like, clearly, these
Well,
people
I was expecting either the young girl to become more of a bigger role, or even the gypsy woman, like, "I'll tell you about the legend of the tall man," and she, like, explains who the tall man is. We get none of that. We
Okay,
just gotta figure it out.
I have a couple
We don't even
things.
know he's called when is he called the tall man?
They say, like, "We gotta, like, stomp that tall man's ass out." They, like, say stuff like that.
Oh, alright.
But, dude, couple things. So, apparently, the old woman, she was a different actress that because this was all just, like, people's friends and, like, "Hey, we're filming on the weekend. Can you come do this?" And that woman dropped out last minute. She's like, "It's my nephew's birthday. I'm not coming to do this." And they're just like, fuck." So they just got some random old lady to play that old woman because they literally were just like, "We" like, last second, they're like, "Just find an old woman who will do this." And
Well,
they
that explains a lot because they probably had, like, an actor who, like,
yeah.
knew what they were gonna do and
Yep.
stuff, and this is a lady that had no lines.
Yep. Exactly.
So, that's why they probably had to cut, like, her scene of, like, doing more shit in the movie.
And
That makes
then
sense.
so
Okay.
there's that, and then this is gonna blow your mind. Apparently, the final cut of this movie was 3 hours long,
Jesus.
and then the director was like, "Alright, we obviously, like, we gotta cut down a lot of it." But then they used a lot of the unused footage in the 4th part of this, like, the Oblivion's what's called, like, Phantasm Oblivion Part 4, and a lot of that footage was in this. It's like a time travel one, but there's still so much of it that wasn't used. Can you imagine how much longer like, I felt like by 90 minutes, I was like, "What is like, when is this over? What is happening still?"
Yeah.
But there's so much that they didn't use, so I'm like, that's probably why it feels like there's so much filler that just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say one other part that doesn't make sense to me, and this is just like, imagine, like, one of us died, right? And, like, oh, gotta go to Alex's funeral, God forbid. But then that night, I go to that same cemetery and I have sex with a girl in the cemetery I just buried one of my best friends in.
Yeah, we'd be like,
That's what he does. He literally, like, is, like, with a girl and he's like, "Let's go to the cemetery I just buried my friend in." It's like,
"Oh."
that's a little come on.
Yeah, and then he laughs about it at the bar, he's like, "We were in the cemetery."
But then it gets even crazier. Yeah, it's like the one where you just buried your friend. It's like,
Yeah,
you're a sick freak, dude.
yeah.
Then it gets better. Imagine you're in a graveyard, weird enough, that you just buried your best friend in, even weirder, and all of a sudden your brother just comes screaming out of the woods, out of nowhere, at the top of his lungs, "Ah!" After watch that scene, like, just by itself.
It's a comedy.
And then he goes, "Huh, that's my brother. He has a problem." That's what he
Yeah,
says.
yeah, I know.
It's like, why is your brother in the woods in this graveyard right now? It's insane.
Yeah, the dialogue is awful. Like, even for the '70s, you're just like, "Oh my god."
I think we're missing the point. I think you just need to take, like, DMT or, like, some crazy drug to watch this movie and, like, know what's going on. And maybe it makes a lot more sense. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely think you need to be high to watch this movie because otherwise you're just gonna be like, "This isn't really cohesive," and, it's just really all over the place, but I wonder if that's because it was cut down from 3 hours to 90 minutes, so there's things like, imagine Watchmen, that long, long, long movie was only 90 minutes. You'd be like, "I feel like we're missing stuff, like, things just
Right.
don't
Yeah.
make sense." But if the movie wasn't a 3 hours long, which I don't wanna watch a 3-hour long version of this, but there's key things that are missing that make things make sense, especially the ending, because that feels so forced in. The last thing we see is Jody standing on top. He pushed the rocks down. The old man's under the thing, and they're like, "Yeah, brother." And then all of a sudden, he wakes up, and it was a dream. You're like, okay." And then Reggie just has to explain, "Hey, by the way, this is actually what happened." You're like, "What the fuck is going on now?"
Yeah.
Maybe that would make more sense if the movie was longer.
Who knows? I mean, maybe it just sounds like maybe they just ran into a lot of production issues, and that's why the movie's just crazy.
For sure. That's why I think it's kinda like Evil Dead, where it's like, it was a couple of friends, and it was literally, like, all of these actors were just people this guy knew. He rented equipment on Fridays, and when he could charge 1 day and then would return it on Mondays,
Oh
to
man,
utilize weekends.
what's the director's name?
Don, Coscarelli?
I can picture this guy just smoking 3 packs a day just to deal with the stress of making this movie.
Dude, he was 24.
Yeah, dude, it's insane.
He was 24, just an amateur filmmaker, but that's the thing, this that's what it doesn't make sense to me. This should be like a John Carpenter or a Wes Craven or like one of those kind of stories. This guy made a movie for $300,000 with a bunch of his friends or whatever. It made 22 million, and then you don't really hear about any of these people.
Yeah.
For years, like, what the hell went wrong? It became a cult classic, but if you talk to, like, the average horror fan or, like, most people, you'd be like, "Hey, Phantasm?" And if they're basically under 40, they're probably gonna be like, "No."
Yeah, when my coworker is over 40, and he was basically like, "Oh, you haven't I haven't heard of it either." I was like, "What is that movie? I've never heard of it." And I looked
Wow.
up the poster. I was like, "Oh, I've seen hints of this before,"
Yeah.
but I honestly had no idea what the hell it was.
It's just I don't know what it is, man. It was like back in the day, it really felt like they made movies just to make them without the idea of like, "Hey, let's make a sequel," where now it's like you have to make a movie and have it definitely have sequel potential, because if you're just looking at the financial return on this, it makes no sense for them to not be like, "Yo, immediately get all these actors, get this director, let's get a second part out within the next, like, year or 2. Here's a budget, make it happen."
Yeah.
This is a movie that does slip under the radar, though. It is something that, unless you're, like, a big horror fan, I mean, I don't know, the only reason I know about it is because my mom showed it to me, it's not something I feel like I would have seen naturally.
That too. It was like this movie in general is crazy. And my coworker, such a like a level-headed guy, he was like, "You need to add this to the wheel." He recommended we have it on. Like out of all the movies, he's like, "Oh, you guys should definitely do Phantasm." I'm like, "Okay, yeah."
Yeah, when you
So
put it on there, I was like, "Huh." I was like, "Fuck, I haven't thought about that movie in a long time." I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." This is yeah, because it's a series too, which I'm kinda like, I kinda wanna see where it goes. I kinda wanna watch the other ones.
I kind of read up about the second one. I don't want to talk about the second one here in case anyone, we're only spoiling Phantasm. We're not spoiling Phantasm 2, but
That's true.
um,
We have integrity here.
yeah, apparently it's like the same movie though.
I
Like the same, like everything happens in the same like way.
That makes sense. Also another little weird thing. You've seen that movie with Mike Myers, So I Married an Axe Murderer?
Long time ago, yes, though.
This is the same mansion. This house this house takes place in or whatever, that's the same
That's so
mansion from that
random.
movie.
It's too random. Can't even take it.
I know, I looked up a lot of trivia about this because I was like, this is one of those kind of movies where I bet there's so many, like, behind the scenes commentary tracks, all this crazy shit, and there really is. There's so much out there about these movies.
Yeah. I should be the tall man for Halloween or the average height man for Halloween.
Is it
No one
what
would
are
know.
you?
And he's like, "Are you like a old guy?" Yeah, kind of.
And the guy from Phantasm, like, what the fuck
And
is
you
that?
see, recognize the spear thing? It's like, no. Oh, good.
It's like the movie from 51 years ago, you know that movie, right?
No one would know. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not that old. No, no, 41. Jeez, I'm so bad at math. It's embarrassing. Jesus.
It's all a dream, dude. It's all a
Oh,
dream.
so who's the guy when Mike is hiding in the mausoleum for like the first time, and it's like the tall man and some old guy or some like older guy, and they walk in there and they're looking for him, and he's hiding in the coffin. He looks out, and then all of a sudden the ball kills him. Who the fuck was that guy?
I wish I had an answer. I have no idea. Like, I thought the tall man like worked alone. Apparently not.
No, and he like bites his arm or whatever, and he's just like ah, and
I
then
would
the
im I
ball.
would imagine he just works at the funeral parlor and doesn't know all this other shit going on with the tall man.
Oh, he's gotta know. He's gotta know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. That was so weird. I was like, "Who is this guy?" But okay.
but workplace violence, dude, that thing killed him. It's like, I thought he was on his side. It's like that, can
Yeah.
we tell these spheres not to kill our people
Yeah.
and
Oh, the
violently?
another thing, apparently this got an, X rating, and, the reason it did was because of the urine. When that guy died, they're like, "You're mixing urine and blood and all this stuff, like, that's too grotesque." And some big time movie critic or whatever at the time wrote the MPAA and was like, "Hey, like, this does not deserve to give it an X rating." It's
Yeah,
just like
X
this.
rating back then, nah.
No, he's like, this is really come on, like, this is way too
Yeah,
tame to
too
be X."
tame, yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, "All right, all right." So they made it R.
Last
But
thing I loved, like, I didn't notice this towards the beginning of the movie, but they kept using like that mother, and they like instead of saying mother effer, they'd be like
Yeah.
that mother. We're gonna go get that mother.
Yeah.
They would say that. Did you catch that a lot?
Oh yeah, no, totally. Yeah, they said so many things that you're like, this seems so unnatural in a conversation. Another thing, I think, right when they said like, "You let me go, you mother," as they're running up the stairs, they broke throughout the movie. I saw 3 spokes off of that like wall, like throughout the movie. If you notice, I was like, because I was like, damn, they broke the stairs there. It's like they broke it again, and the third time you see there's 3 spokes, and the third one they break off, and there's 2 before that are missing. And I was like, gee, they definitely like broke this house while they were making this movie.
Oh yeah,
And then the shotgun with the hammer,
yeah.
that would never work. And how would a 13-year-old just know how to do that?
That's a quick way to just blow off your hand.
Oh,
The
100%.
quickest way ever.
Oh my God, it would never work. And even if it did manage to work, yeah, by hand or, it'll shoot off into your side.
You get shrapnel all over your face.
Well, apparently, and I don't know which scene it was, but because they use a shotgun a lot in this movie, they were such amateur filmmakers, they had no, safety people on set. They were usually using power from people's houses, like running extension cables and stuff. And they used blanks in the shotgun, and they didn't realize that like those can hurt you. And they lit one of the guy's arms on fire when they shot, and like a speck went off and caught the guy's jacket on fire. And I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Dude, the scene, when he's got the shotgun and he's shooting the car, I'm like, they're going so fast. And he's just up there like, come on, Johnny, like, let's go. Like, he's just shooting the shotgun.
Yeah, it's like you got to think like how they made this film. Like even the garbage disposal scene with the thing, and they shoved the shirt down there. And it's like they definitely broke that house's garbage disposal for the scene. Like,
they broke that. And then when he locks him in there with a screwdriver, which is just so stupid, just fucking whatever. But he kicks the door, and you don't even see him kick the door in the scene. But then after he like walks away, and there's a huge hole in the door, and you're just like, I bet that wasn't planned.
yeah,
There's just a lot of stuff. The guy's like, man, you guys really fucked my house up. It's like, come on, man, it's for the movie.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix your house in post. I actually do want to watch the second one. It's gonna sound weird, but I'm kind of comparing this to Hellraiser, and I think I like this more than Hellraiser.
That was going to be the movie I compare it to the most, is because like the box in Hellraiser with the sphere, a lot of similarities. There's one main bad guy, but with a bunch of like demon people around him.
Yeah, I mean, Hellraiser's production is so much better. The music's better, the dialogue's better, but I think just like, I don't know, I've got this weird soft spot for just like movies of this era, like late 70s, early 80s, of just like poor production quality. I love Evil Dead. I love this. I love Friday the 13th, and they all kind of have this like cheesy, cheap vibe to them.
You just like to be like, oh man, that's so shitty how they did that. Like,
I like that though. I can respect that though. I don't know. I like that.
Yeah.
Well,
you can just tell how hard people work by just how shitty the budget is, and like you just got to respect it.
I could really appreciate this movie. I don't know. I liked a lot of it. I noticed a lot of things. So, any final thoughts on Phantasm?
Just the mine shaft, just want to know where that is and where we could go if we're ever in a pickle, Where's our mine shaft, Alec?
That's a good question. We need to all have a mine shaft in our mind.
Like, where's your escape?
Yeah. No, I need to think of one. I don't have one. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Cool. Hello and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 1988's Phantasm V, which was directed by Don Coscarelli. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Dennis. Just kidding. I'm Eric. I just like the name Dennis.
Who's Dennis?
I don't know. Alec, do you know any Dennises?
A contractor at my grandparents' house name was Dennis like 25 years ago.
I don't know any Dennises. I don't know any Dennises. And I'm like,
yes you do. Dennis Bianchi, the police officer from Avon.
Don't recall.
He had like the mustache that looked like a tarantula because it was like handlebar mustache that was white at the bottoms. His name was Dennis.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I avoided the cops as much as I could back then.
I thought he worked at the high school, man. I thought he was one of those guys too.
Oh.
Anyways, doesn't matter.
Oh, I'm Eric. I'm not Dennis, but Dennis is a great name. Great name. Sorry.
I was like, Jesus, is Dennis even a character in the movie? I'm like, what are you talking?
I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
Okay.
I just came to my head.
Anyways, so we're talking Phantasm 2 today, and we covered Phantasm 1 at least a year ago.
2 years ago, 2020, and it was not our October wheel, but like our winter wheel.
Okay, so it's pretty close after that. Yeah, And we both liked that one, right? You liked the first one, right?
Yeah, I remember a coworker recommended it we were at a wedding, and he was talking to me like, I love that you guys started a podcast, this and that. And he's just like, you guys should do Phantasm. I'm like,
Right.
I've never even heard of this. And I mean, I remember us doing that podcast. I remember the first one feeling like such a fever dream, and the ending's just so bizarre. But I remember us both liking it. Like, we didn't hate it.
No, I love the first one. My mom showed it to me when I was very young, and it always stuck with me. Just because I liked that it was a young kid, and I was like, I'm a young kid, he's a young kid, like, it's scary.
I haven't even heard of Phantasm until 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that just really went under the radar, and it should have gotten more recognition, but I don't know. There's a lot to talk about, though, because there's 5 of them, and it took us a while to get to this one. It took us like 2 years.
Yeah, want to go over that real quick. The first one, which we did in 2020, came out in 1979. This one that we're doing now, Phantasm 2, came out in 1988, so literally 10 years later, pretty much. The third one, 1994.
Okay.
The fourth one, 1998, not as far of a distance there. The fifth one, 2016.
Yeah.
Wild. What a like a spread out series. It's insane.
Yeah, it's almost 50 years, pretty much. And I had heard that the reason that they didn't want to make the second one, it was actually the director. He was like, I don't know, I thought it was pretty well tied up.
Like one and done, yeah.
He didn't want to do anymore, which is weird because he wasn't really working much after that. So I don't know.
Well, I'll say this: the first one, 1979, budget was $300,000, which is a lot back in '79. It made $22 million.
Yeah. So it's insane that they didn't do something or force him or be like, listen, we'll buy the rights or something. But yeah,
I'm sure it was all conversation. He probably was just like thinking about it for years. It was probably a tough movie. It's well shot. The first one's well shot. Say what you want. It's well shot. The second one is also well shot. But I'll say this. So the first one, $300,000 budget. This one, the second one, $3 million budget.
Yeah. 10 times.
That's 10 times. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It only made 7.3 million. So it's like, oh, okay, let's dial it back. Let's dial it back next time. Like,
well, I watched a couple like behind the scenes stuff about this, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like, because I don't know if you noticed, like most of the actors were the same except for the Mike, the main kid or whatever.
Yeah, they showed a flashback of him, but like, yeah, I mean,
so apparently this is what the Universal said. They're like, we're going to produce this. We're going to give you a lot of money, Don Coscarelli. We're going to give you freedom. You can write, direct, do what you want. But you cannot have both of those guys back. You can't have Reggie and Mike. You can choose one, but we want a big actor, or like at least an actor that's recognizable at the time in a role. So you got a choice. And he went with Reggie over Mike, and people were pissed.
Picking Reggie over Mike, I think was smart.
Yeah, I do too. Why do you think that though?
I mean, well, I'll say this too. In the third one, don't they bring the original back? So that's something you don't see. That's insane.
Back then, especially, like the audience was so pissed off that it actually, it's, you know, like nowadays they have like the Sonic the Hedgehog thing where people are like, he looks weird, and they like change it. But this was like in the 80s.
You know what it reminded me of? Two things it kind of reminds me of is kind of like Edward Furlong in Terminator 2, and then switching to the other actor in Terminator 3. Yeah. Like, why didn't you get Edward Furlong? We know that answer. Not going to go there. This one, they went with a different actor as well. But the other movie that reminds me of it is Star Wars, the prequels. They had Jake Lloyd, who was young, and then they could have probably kept with him, but they just said, like, we just want someone older looking, and like kids are cute, right? They age a certain way, they look a certain way. Like Mike going from what he was, like a skinny, kind of scrawny kid, to that, I was like, that doesn't feel like that's right.
Dude, I think this would have made way more sense than Star Wars. Star Wars, because it was supposed to be a 10-year gap between episodes 1 and 2. So to have Jake Lloyd, who would only have aged 3 years, like, that would not have worked.
Pushing 4. I mean, yeah, filming it must have been, like, within 2 years. Right?
It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
He would have been 12 years old playing, like, an 18-year-old. Yeah. Yep. But this movie, that was stupid. I think, because, like, clearly the fans are the reason this movie is going to be successful, and if they're mad at it, whatever. That's not enough. Like, the movie's fine on its own. Like, that's not enough to ruin it, but you're kind of like, hey, where's that guy? I like that guy.
Well, yeah, but then 6 years later, you hear about this third one coming out, and it's like, do you hear what the third one is doing? It's bringing back, like, OG Mike. OG Mike? Are you kidding me?
I know.
I kind of want to see that one. I have no idea the box office, but I'm assuming it's like I know the budget. It's $2.5 million. So they went from the $3 million budget to the second one to like, hey, we made our money back plus,
Yeah.
Let's just give you a little less money for this budget and see if we make more money. I have no idea what that movie made. I tried to Google it. I couldn't find what the third one made.
I think 3, 4, and 5, I'm pretty sure are all straight to DVD. I'm pretty sure. Or straight to VHS and stuff like that, and streaming. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. 1994 must have been like VHS big time.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Maybe Laserdisc
or limited release, but still 2.5 million to make.
Yeah, so I don't know. They must have thought they were going to make it back. Maybe they did. I actually don't know. But let's talk about this movie, the second one.
Yes. Sorry. Just overview of this movie.
Yeah. So let's go back to the beginning of the first of this film. So like, it basically gives you a little bit of a recap of what happened. But I actually loved how it starts. You get, first of all, actually the title card was awesome.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, you can feel the budget in this one,
right?
Right. Exactly.
That was like the first thing. They're just like Phantasm, like. Dude. It was like, okay, they got money now. So then anyway, so it goes into this girl, Liz, and she's basically like in, I don't know, I guess a room, and she's been having visions for the past like 6 years or whatever it's been, and knows the whole story about the tall man and Mike and Reggie and all this stuff, and she's been writing a journal about it, and she's fallen in love with Mike from her visions or whatever. Did Mike, Mike has been in a mental asylum, which is kind of weird because you're like, wait, like the end of the first one is Reggie being like, come on kid, like let's go off somewhere, and it's like, actually you're going to the asylum, like right in.
And don't forget Reggie's an ice cream truck driver, right?
At this time, yeah, in the first movie, yeah. So Reggie's a 2-year-old ice cream truck driver, and then he's got Mike, who's like a 13-year-old kid, and the movie ends with them basically being like, let's go away together. But then the tall man captures Mike basically, and then Reggie goes on this like crazy sort of like around the house, like grabbing shotguns, grabbing bats, like trying to save Mike, ends up doing it, which was crazy, dude. That whole sequence of him like taking the bat and like smacking the little Jawa guy, and dude, it was
that, and then the gas and the blowing up the house. This movie is insane.
Yeah, so it kind of shows like what happens right after the end of the first one. So Mike gets captured, and then Reggie blows the whole house up. Like, which looked amazing, dude. I was like, that's a real house, because they're standing in front of it.
And they blow up a house later on in the movie, which
I know.
we get into, but that definitely was the same shot, just a different angle.
You think so? Yeah,
oh,
probably. Yeah. I thought so.
You're not blowing up 2 houses.
Well, they lit like half the fucking set on fire in this movie. But anyway, so this huge explosion, which I was like blown away by, it reminded me of like the Fugitive train crash. I was like, this looks fantastic.
It was good. It was actually impressive.
It was great. So you get to see the tall man, which, dude, when the tall man looks at the house and then looks back at the truck, reminded me of Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back when the Millennium Falcon gets away, but he thinks that like they disable the hyperdrive. Remember that part?
Oh yeah, of course. And he's just pissed off, and it's like, oh, no one talked to him right now.
Yeah.
No one talked to him.
That's what that scene reminded me of. He just looks at the blown up house and he's like, God damn it, and then puts the coffin back in and drives away.
Did that really happen?
Yeah. Like, God damn it. But that's what's so weird, though, is what happens after that then? Because then basically Reggie goes off and gets married and has like a kid or whatever or something, and Mike just goes to a mental asylum.
So this is the part of the movie where I got confused. I felt like I was missing things constantly. I think that all was a dream in quotations, right? The house blowing up and everything was a dream. Because isn't that how it kind of ends too? It's like it was just a dream with his brother dying or something in a car crash.
Yeah, they said that. Yeah.
So it's like it's very like, is this a dream or not? You know, coping with your brother's death kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but I got lost in it because it's like, all right, so cut to house blows up, they take off, and then it's like Mike in an asylum, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, it was all a dream. Reggie believes it too, right?
Yeah.
Reggie's like, this is all a dream, man. You're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? And then he meets up with him in a graveyard, like, and he knew exactly where he was going to be after leaving the asylum. He's like, I knew I'd find you here.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he's digging up bodies, and he's like, there's nothing in these graves. This graveyard's empty, which is a cool concept. That's a creative idea.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how is this? Wait. So wait, what? So does Reggie think it was a dream? Did Reggie actually blow up the house? But then it like catches up with where it was in the dream, because they go back to the house where like Reggie's family is, and the house blows up again.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I was thinking, like, if this isn't a dream, there has to be some sort of like investigation into Reggie, because I'm like, 2 houses have blown up in the past like 6 years in your life, and like your family's died. Like, I don't know. So I guess it is a dream then. I don't know.
But it's almost like a space-time continuum dream kind of going on. Like, was it a dream? Was it like an Inception dream kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like Donnie Darko kind of.
Yeah, it's very creative. It's very creative. I'll give it that. But how did Mike know? Like, wasn't it Liz talking to him, and all of a sudden he just like goes like, "The house is gonna blow up," out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
like, there was no signaling. Like, what is he? How does he know that? It was
right.
the tall man says like, "Welcome home, boy,"
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like, "The house is gonna blow up," and then it just does like 2 seconds later.
Yeah, so he starts getting like way more psychic visions once I'm assuming once he leaves the asylum, because we don't see any time he spent there really. So Liz is communicating to him, the tall man's communicating to him, the tall man's communicating to Liz. So there's a reason Liz and Mike are connected, I guess. They have some sort of like psychic bond.
Like, that's it. That's all it is. There's no other like they're related. There's like
I hope not.
Like so can I ask, why does the tall man want her grandfather so badly? Like, why her? Like, was there an answer to that?
Dude, I don't know, because she says that too. She's like, once my grandfather dies, it becomes real. I was like, why? Like, why does that matter? Yeah. So that was really weird. If once Liz's grandfather died, I guess that's like when the tall man could come for her, maybe? Maybe like a family member of hers had to die. They never say this.
I wish there was an extra layer to that, like, oh, her grandfather was like a super duper Nazi or something and killed thousands of people, so he's like a soul the tall man wants. I wish there was that, you know? There's none of that. It's just like this random girl Liz, his grandfather, who seems like a good guy. He's a nice wife, who seems like a nice grandma too.
Yeah.
Like, why this person? This movie, it made me feel like I was missing something every 5 seconds.
Yeah, they don't fill in some kind of essential things, like why Mike, why Liz, and Reggie just kind of feels like he's a guy that's like seen what's going on, and he's like, I can help you sort of thing, you know? But yeah, so basically where we picked off on our discussion was like,
house blows up, and then they go to a hardware store, and just like there's this like montage scene of them like building like quadruple shotguns and like sawing off stuff, which is like it's fucking hilarious watching him like run around with one of those headgear things when you're about to like Bunsen burn or something.
Headgear thing?
Mike, you know what is it like when you're gonna like solder something?
Oh yeah, like a mask.
He's like always like walking around with that. He just looked ridiculous, that actor.
Well, even before all of this though, like Reggie's family just got blown up, and then like a couple days later, it's just like, you want to come with me? He's like, all right.
Not even a couple days later, he's like, now I know what is going on. It's really like it was like instantly.
Yeah, I guess it's the motivation that forces Reggie to be like, all right, we got to do something about this. But, like, he didn't seem like he was emotionally affected by this at all. And then, of course, he gets, like, this fucking girl half his age, like, a couple days. No, you know what? It's months later. That's the other thing that's so weird, dude. This movie jumps so far ahead in the future for no reason.
Yeah.
They're like, this is going to take us 6 months. We got to get to the state line. It's like, why is that going to take you 6 months? Like, you drive the whole country and back like more than twice in 6 months.
Easily.
Yeah. What are they talking about?
You can drive cross country in 3 days.
Yeah.
If you do crystal meth, you got to do crystal meth to drive 3 days.
So what was taking them so long? Why did it have to take 6 months for them to? Nothing happened. So it's
maybe they had to work for gas.
Did they go? So what I'm thinking is they went from town to town just looking at graveyards, and they couldn't find the tall man until they finally like, I guess we'll go to the state line and he'll be there.
Yeah.
Or they got some message that told them where to go. It was like Perry Gord or something like that. There was something that made them know to go there. Oh, I remember. Don't they go into like this weird underground? They find a town that's like decimated, and they think the tall man's there, and they find Liz.
Well, this like Liz like tells them like go east or something, right?
Right.
To Paragord or some shit.
Yes, exactly. But Liz is like in there, but she has like a Freddy Krueger fucking like worm guy coming out of her back.
That was really cool.
But he was just weird, man. And also, I would never be like, we should split up. Like when you're in that place, like what the fuck are they talking about? Why did they split up? And then you see, Reggie goes one way, but the camera follows Mike. Mike goes into this room where there's just like a naked woman with her like guts cut open or whatever. He sees her, and then later they see her on the road, and he's like, yeah, she was in a dream or whatever. And it's just like, all right, I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's going on. And then Liz's grandfather dies, and there's a whole scene with like an alcoholic priest that like knows what's going on or something. That's another layer to this.
Yes.
I'm just trying to quickly go through the synopsis so we can get into some more other random shit. So then, like, Liz is grandmother is captured, right, or something, by her grandfather who's been reanimated by the tall man.
Yep.
And then then they all meet up, and then you mentioned Reggie picked up this hitchhiker.
Alchemy? What the fuck?
Okay, let's say this real quick. I am, I'm pro a lot of things. I am anti hitchhiking. I don't care how good looking they are. I don't care how rich they look. Don't pick up a hitchhiker, especially if their name's Alchemy.
Alchemy.
No. See ya. Roll up the window.
Every hitchhiking movie, it never ends well.
No, that's how Ted Bundy got people, right? Like, come on.
A bunch of ways, but yeah.
I mean, they had Zac Efron to play Ted Bundy. Like, that's not good.
Why? Because he's good looking?
Ted Bundy was good looking, and I think he was a hitchhiker kind of guy. Like, he got people.
Probably.
Just no hitchhiking, people, please. If I give you any advice.
But this random gorgeous young girl is just like, hitchhike with you guys. Gets in the car with Mike and Reggie, and then is just part of the crew, basically.
Yeah, and then they go to the house, which is like empty but still has power somehow.
Oh, they go to they're like, my uncle owns a bed and breakfast, so we'll go to that, because the entire town is, again, decimated, so everything's closed except for this bed and breakfast, which is also closed but has power. But again, why would you want to stay there? Because then if the tall man is there, that's the only place with lights on. He's gonna go right there.
Yeah, it was wild. And then I don't even remember. He captures Liz from the house after a weird sex scene with Alchemy and Reggie.
We're not blowing past that. We're talking.
We're going in. All right, we're gonna give that 2 minutes right here, everybody.
So basically, they find Liz. So we missed that. So they find Liz after her grandma dies. Like, she's running around trying to look for the tall man and Mike. She's looking for Mike because she knows Mike exists and she wants to find him. So they get together. They all go back to the bed and breakfast house. They set up shotguns and grenades and all this stuff on the windows, which looks...
grenades in a Budweiser can. Dude, I love this movie.
So dangerous. But anyways,
dude, that is the quickest way to die. And imagine you just as you're tying it up, you pull the thing out.
He's like, oh fuck, and
this is over.
Yeah, so that was reckless. But anyways, so there's Alchemy, Liz, Reggie, and Mike, and they're all in there, and they're basically just like, hey, we should go upstairs. I'll take care of you. And then Reggie's like, I'll take care of you. And I'm just like, this is I don't like this. But so Mike and Liz go upstairs and they just go to sleep with their shoes on in the bed. But anyways, so they go to sleep and you're like, oh, okay. I thought they were going to hook up, but sure. Reggie and Alchemy start hooking up and you're just watching this. You're like, this would never happen. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but what? So they go upstairs, they start having really awkward sex, but the thing is, Reggie's not even the awkward one. Alchemy is weird as hell. That's right when I thought she was going to be evil right there. I was like, okay, she's bad, because, what is she doing? But it was just, super awkward. I don't know what was going on. She was, dry humping him with, a leopard underwear on, and she was, licking his bald head. It was, really weird.
Yeah, I mean... That might be the key. I want to know the demographic that loves Phantasm, and I bet 80% of them are bald men.
Okay, that's another thing I was going to bring up. So I was like, man, it is a hard sell to have your lead have that bad of balding nowadays. I feel like that would never happen right now. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I don't approve of that. I'm just man, it would be a hard sell for any TV show, any movie right now to be the lead actor has the worst receding hairline you've ever seen.
I mean, good for him.
I think it's amazing.
It's a spectrum. It's we're the only movie that has a lead bald guy, really.
I can't think of anything else. There's Larry David, but that's comedy, right. And it's he also created Seinfeld, and but this is Reggie, the actor that played him, has done nothing. So I'm just shocked that the studio was kind of okay. Isn't that a weird stigma though?
I don't know. I mean, this was 80s, so I don't know. What was big back then?
Hair was big.
Armpit hair and bushes were it, and I don't know. Maybe bald heads. And she says that I love your head.
I know. Yeah, she's I love bald heads.
Literally smacking his face into her breast, and it was okay, what's going on? And then she's literally jumping on him like a trampoline.
It was very strange, but I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being bald. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just interesting that a guy that has 0 acting credits can be the lead in a Universal film and have hair like that. I don't know. I just kind of thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you're an ice cream truck driver. You're bald. You're like, where are they supposed to?
Oregon.
Yeah, you're not. Dude, like picking up someone like Alchemy is like, this is a 1 in a million chances to ever. And you know what he does though? This is why you love him. It's because he hears a noise and he's like, get off me.
Yeah.
Like most people would be like, no, I don't care what's going on outside.
What was it? A grenade went off in the house.
I know.
I think he had to do something. But actually, speaking of the ice cream truck line, dude, that one line where Mike's like, you are a bald, middle-aged ex-ice cream truck driver, and I'm just a kid. I wish that Reggie was just like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you, Mike.
Hits him with the quad shotgun.
Yeah, he's like, seriously? Fuck you.
Bro, I love the quad shotgun, too, by the way.
Yeah, that was so sick.
No, but yeah, seriously, like, imagine Reggie, like, all right, you're gonna learn today. You're gonna learn today. Get out of the car.
Yeah,
He
seriously.
Just, like, beats his ass with a 2x4.
He's like, I'm just a kid. He's like, you got a lot more problems than that, Mike. Okay.
Get out of the car.
But I just really wish there was a moment there where he's like, you know what? Now you've been running your mouth quite a bit, Mike. I'm really done. I'm really done.
Pretty much. All right, where were we? So Liz is captured again. Alchemy was humping him. And then they race after Liz, and then there's a great car chase scene, and the car explodes as if it has like 17 tanks of gas because that explosion was crazy.
Well, it flips too. It hits a rock and flips. Because, dude, okay, so the car chases after the tall man who's driving, which you're like, damn, Darth Vader's coming out for this mission. Shit, he didn't even send like his minions. He's doing this. So the tall man grabs Liz, puts her in the coffin, drives, and literally you see Reggie holding the quadruple barrel shotgun, and you're like, fucking shoot him. And even Mike's like, dude, what the fuck? And then they hit a rock and they flip, and it looks so good.
Yeah,
and then Reggie basically is like, he's like, just leave me, kid. He's like, nah, man, I got you. And they saves him before the car blows up. But yeah, let me ask you though, he captures Liz to do what? To bring her right back to his lair and then have somebody else kill her? Why did he even capture her?
I wish there was a layer to that, but I think based on like what the mortician was doing, which is like putting her in the infirmary, maybe like they weren't even going to use her body to reanimate. They were going to
cremate her. Yeah. So why did the tall man capture her? Why did he care?
Maybe it was part of his plan to get Mike and Reggie there. I have no idea.
But the thing that I thought was funny was like, so the tall man like grabs Liz and then like just chucks her in a hallway, and he's like, all right, and then walks away, and then the grandma Jawa comes over and gets her. And then she's like, sorry, grandma, and like hits her in the head with like a pot. And then the tall man's gone. You're like, all right, okay, guys, come on. You got to try a little bit here.
Yeah, and a bunch of other shit happens. There's a huge fight with all these like morticians with Reggie and Mike when they arrive at the crematorium or whatever. And then pretty much you see a scene where Reggie pours hydrochloric acid into the embalming fluid not embalming fluid, but the fluid that the tall man uses to reanimate people. Mm-hmm. He does that, and then they fight a bunch of minions and shit. And then guess what happens next?
Tall man dies.
No, not yet. But the ball is back. Have you seen the poster?
Yeah, there's like 3 balls this time. There's a gold ball.
No, but like, remember, have you looked at the poster? It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's Mike and what's her face in the ball.
Yeah, it says literally this summer the ball is back.
Yeah.
So once we get to here, we're 3/4 into the movie. We haven't seen a ball yet.
Mm-hmm. And dude, but then the balls come back full force.
Yeah, we got a gold ball, like you said. Like that's like a freaking Swiss Army knife.
Dude, the gold ball was sick because it drills into your body and then like expands with like all these like spikes or whatever, and then just shoots around inside of your body. Like that is fucked up.
Yeah, when they showed that guy with his like mouth, I was like, damn. That's insane.
It's like the ball is inside of his body, picking him up and slamming him into the walls from inside his body. I was like, wow, that was pretty good.
Very creative again. But then we get like a bunch of scenes with the balls with the morticians. The morticians like get destroyed by the balls. But also we find out that the ball is the key to get into that like other dimension. Right?
Yeah.
So we see them do that and kind of go in there, and then like Reggie's like burning up inside. They pull him out. The tall man shows up, and then they hit him with the embalming fluid stuff, and it's like he starts like melting, and then there's like a penis that comes out of his head at one point.
Yeah,
like whatever that was, like an alien like mouth.
Yeah.
And then like Mike just like rips it out.
Yeah, it was like not even a threat.
Yeah, it was like he's just like, get this off of me.
Yeah.
And then they just burn the place down, and then they're riding off. Oh no, Alchemy's still there.
Alchemy, no, she goes and yeah.
Right. So they burn it down, they kill the tall man, quote, and then Alchemy shows up with the hearse. And it's like, you could have left me at any time and you stuck around. And Reggie's like, I'm really, really fucking glad you stayed around. He's like so pumped. And it was like really crazy. He's like licking his lips in one scene.
Oh my God.
And yeah, he does if you look at it. And then Alchemy, like he like brushes her hair back and she has like a no skull or whatever.
Yeah. You think everything's good, you know, like Reggie and Alchemy are in the front of the hearse. They close the little window so you can't see. You're like, ooh, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, well, she's driving. I mean, like,
yeah,
pull over at least? I don't know. Like, hey, Mike, can you drive? We go in the back? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so you're like, what are they gonna do? And then she pulls off part of her head. You're like, oh, she's an alien monster. You think she kills Reggie, you know? She like stabs him or something, and then he like is bloody and on the window, like, help me. But you know, he's the lead, I think, in the rest of them, so he's fine.
Yeah, and it kind of ends the same way as the first one, where the tall man like kind of breaks through a mirror and grabs Mike, which is how this movie starts.
Yeah, love the line, the ending line, so good.
Well, I think Mike and Liz are in the back, like this, and like Reggie looks like he's dying, like he's gutted and like at the side of the road. You see him like his body on the road.
Yeah, and
then the tall man's there, and then this has to be a dream. And then what does he say?
He's like, no, it's not. And then just grabs him
and it just ends.
Yeah, I freaking love that, dude. I thought that was great. The tall man's amazing. The actor that plays him, such a good job, you know.
Yeah, he's a great character. I think this movie's insanely creative. It just needs more depth. I don't even know if depth is the right word. It just needs more. It needs better dialogue because the dialogue's insane. Yeah. It's insane. Like there's scenes where it's just like, I know where we need to go. It reminds me of Wet Hot American Summer when it's like, next time you drive the van. That line. That's this movie in a nutshell.
It just needed it needed like a co-writer to come in and be like, let me like, you know, fix the dialogue, like these 6-month gaps where they just go nowhere. Like, oh, I'll just get rid of that.
So why are Liz and Mike connected? Why is Liz important? Like, those are the two things I really need to know. Like, why is Liz and Mike talking to each other telekinesis?
Yeah.
Why is Liz important? Why was her grandfather important? And what's the tall man's end game?
Yeah. Is there like a puppet master beyond this? Because why, if he's the leader, why is he so involved in everything? Like, you'd think he would have minions doing stuff for him for everything.
Right. Yeah.
So, I want to see the third one. I've heard the next three are not very good, but I don't care. I want to see him now.
I kind of want to get to the fifth one eventually, man.
Yeah.
2016. I can't even imagine what that movie. I have no idea what that movie's about. I know Reggie's in it. It's a poster.
Yeah. And the tall man. He's in all of them.
Yeah, he must be 100 in that one.
He's like, that was like his last. I think it came out after he died. Actually, he was very old.
Wow.
Yeah, because dude, I'm watching him in this. I'm like, man, he looks old, and I'm like, dude, he lived for another like 30 years.
1979 was the first one. 2016 was the last one, and this guy looked old in the fucking first one.
No, and he looks. Dude, I saw an interview with him for like the 2016 DVD release, and he's just like, he doesn't look like he's alive, dude. He's so old.
He's great though.
I love him.
With his scrim, what's his
Angus Scrim, I think.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. One thing I will say too, the guy who plays old Mike, I was watching this and I was like, you're gonna figure this out. I told myself not to look him up, and I was like, I'm gonna naturally figure this out. I know I've seen this actor somewhere else. I couldn't figure it out. I eventually gave in, hit the Google. It's fucking Roach from Point Break.
Oh. Like,
so he's one of the ex-presidents.
Yeah.
He's the one who kills Gary Busey in the airport, and then he gets shot up by Gary Busey too. And then he's brought into the plane, and then he's the one who dies like mid skydive when they like toss him out of the plane. Like, buddy's like, "You're gonna live, man," and he's like, "Fuck you."
I do remember that.
So, and they throw him out of the plane, and you see him like just kind of like floating down, like dead. So it's like, shit, man. He pulled the chute though somehow at least.
Yeah. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I didn't recognize him at all. Really. I was like, oh, he's a working actor. I was like, I haven't seen him in anything.
You know how much I love Point Break. So it's like, I know this guy. I know he's in something else. Yeah. My brain I was like trying so hard to naturally figure it out. I couldn't.
Well, glad you did.
So I wonder why they didn't stick with him and they went back to young Mike.
Because people freaked out. People were.
You think that was it? Really?
No, it really was. People were like, the fans were livid. So they actually did. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Last thing, I just want to say, man. I don't know how they filmed this or why this character would ever want to do this, but you know, they use like a flamethrower in like a lot of this movie, and Mike just like lights the fireplace with a flamethrower, and I was like, that is reckless. And I kind of wish Alchemy's like, hey, like, this is my uncle's house. Like, this is carpet, too. Like, Jesus Christ, man. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a smoke stain on the ceiling now.
I mean, it's a flamethrower he's using inside to casually light a fireplace. And I was like, it's cool, but I'm like, this is fucking crazy.
You know what I want to see? I want to see a bald guy as Reggie and someone like Mike with a flamethrower costume with the like hazmat head thing. And on Halloween, if I ever see that at a bar, I'm paying for their drinks the rest of the night.
Or the tall man. What if you see a guy dressed as the tall man?
I mean, that would be, he has to be like a 6'5" at least.
The actor's not that tall in real life, but yeah, no, that'd be sick.
If I see a tall man, like a skinny, slender man kind of, I mean, honestly, tall man probably influenced some Slender Man.
Oh, I think so. So. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I like this one. I think it was on par, if not even a little bit better than the first one, maybe. I don't know.
It's just, I don't remember any guns in the first one. This movie is just like, let's just like do the aliens treatment to it.
A lot of guns. Yeah.
Just, we want alien, now we're going aliens.
It was like Evil Dead 2. It was kind of like quadruple barrel shotguns, fucking chainsaws.
Houses blowing up, cars blowing up. 10 times the budget.
Oh, did you see too? Like there's ashes in a box that said Sam Raimi in it. Did you see that?
Oh, I didn't see that at all.
Yeah, one of the guys is like emptying a box of ashes and it says Sam Raimi.
Nice.
And there was that one shot too, dude, where the ball is chasing them and they slam like 3 doors and the ball just keeps coming through the doors. I'm like, oh, that's right out of Evil Dead.
Yeah.
But anyways, good movie. If you like the first one, definitely check it out. And we'll cover the rest of the series eventually.
We're gonna do the whole series.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to 10 years from now get to the 5th one.
Oh my god, hopefully sooner than that. Well, Eric, you want to spin the wheel? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where 2 best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film, and they discuss it. Today we're talking 1994's Phantasm V, Lord of the Dead, which was directed by Don Coscarelli. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Eric.
And another sequel in the bag.
It feels good. I mean, like, Phantasm 3, look at us.
I mean, honestly, I like that we're doing sequels because I want to close out some of these franchises that we started, you know? And this is an easy one because there's only 5.
It's nice to say, like, oh, I've seen every Friday the 13th. I've seen every Nightmare. I've seen this. And we've also can say, oh, yeah, I did a podcast on all of them.
Yeah, I've seen so many of the movies that we haven't covered yet. But yeah, I mean, we're getting close.
Do you know how cool it's going to be when we're like, I've seen all the Jeepers Creepers. All anything you can think of.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I'm enjoying doing these sequels, and especially like movies like this, where I don't think I would have ever just been like, I'm going to pop on Phantasm 3 randomly one day. And I would never suggest anybody do that unless they've seen the first 2, because otherwise this is going to be a nightmare.
Make no sense. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Oh, God.
It barely makes sense having seen the first 2. So if you're just like, oh, what's Lord of the Dead? And you don't know it's Phantasm 3 and you put it on, you're...
All right, I now have a bet with, like, my wife and I are like having like no, it's this, no, it's this. It's like, all right, you want to bet on it? It's like, all right, if I win, we have to watch Phantasm 3 and you have to pay attention. We'll put subtitles on, and I want a detailed 1-page report afterwards.
Well, I almost thought it'd be funny if we like asked Mike or something, because I know he hasn't seen the other 2, to just be like, all right, because he did that with the new Star Wars trilogy. He never saw Last Jedi, and he only saw Rise of Skywalker with us, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. So it'd be funny if we did that with this, where he's like, I've never heard of Phantasm, and he's starting with a 3rd one. I thought that would have been funny.
Oh, what are we doing? We have to do that. For the 4th, there's a 4th Phantasm. We have to do that.
There's 5, and the 4th one's on this wheel, so maybe we still can.
We have to do 4. We have to get someone.
All right. Well, let's jump into this one a little bit. So this one takes place immediately after the second one. So that's kind of cool. I like it because the first to second one, there's like 6 years in between, and you're just kind of like, I don't know what happened to these guys. But this one, it's like Mike, Reggie, and I guess the girlfriend who dies immediately. They're all in that hearse, and it ends the same way. Like the hearse crashes, and
this is about 6 years after the second one, like, came out.
Yeah, like in real time.
Yeah, second one came out in 1988, and then this one came out in 1994. It's like, geez, like 6 years. Like, there's that big of a, like, when is Phantasm 3 dropping? Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, Phantasm. This is straight to video, but in the timeline of the film, like this takes place immediately after the second one.
Like almost right before it ended, to be honest, too, right?
They went back and reshot it with that new actor because they got the guy that played Michael in the original Phantasm. They brought him back, so they're like, "Oh, let's get those shots of the original actor in this scene." So yeah, they did refilm some of the second movie.
Right. What a flex though, too, just to be like that's like their marketing, right? Like we got OG Mike. You want
Yeah,
to see this? You tell me you don't want to see OG Mike. It's like, dude, and like everyone probably was like, they got the kid from the first one. This one's like, really? Kind of want to see it.
I know. Well, they did, and they bring him back, but dude, I mean, it starts off, yeah, the car crashes, and
They immediately kill off Alchemy or whatever her name is or whatever.
well, Alchemy and the other girl, the
Yeah,
blonde
boom.
girl, dude, I was pissed they killed that girl because, dude, she's kind of like, in the second movie, she's like having these dreams about the tall man and Mike, and we go to her family and we meet her dad, and I was like, okay, so this girl's like a main character.
Yeah, she's like telekinesis powers or whatever.
Yeah, and like, okay, we know that Alchemy is bad from the second one. We're like, oh, okay, so she's been in and out the whole time. But that other girl, I can't remember her name now. Dude, they should not have killed her. Why did they kill her?
Could have recasted her, but yeah, maybe they just wanted to move on. I'd be like, let's pivot.
So stupid. So they kill off like the other lead character, and I was pissed off. And then we just get this like weird scene of basically Reggie being like, "Come on, Mike, we got to get out of here." And Mike gets like attacked by the tall man again in the woods after the car crash. Reggie takes the shotgun, shoots a bunch of those little Jawa guys, and I just gotta say, this movie has got a theme going where if somebody close to you dies, you don't take 2 seconds to think about it. You just keep moving on and you don't think about it ever again. Like, both of their girlfriends died. Reggie's family died within months, and nobody thinks about it. They just keep pushing forward. It's so crazy to me.
And if you think about it too, this is like probably in the span of how many hours you think?
What? From what?
From this, I mean, like the second one, the third one, like 24 hours maybe.
No,
Since
literally.
Since Reggie's family died,
Oh, no, I think it's been months.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in the second one, it takes a couple months for them to, like, get to Idaho or something. But yeah, dude, like, Reggie's family, within a few months, has been killed. He meets this new girl, Alchemy. She gets killed. He meets Mike again. Mike's girlfriend gets killed. Then after this scene, Mike gets turned into, like, a ball or something. I can't remember. What exactly happened, like, right in the beginning. The tall man comes. He wants... Oh, yeah. He's like, I'm going to take Mike or whatever. And then Reggie's like, I got a bomb. I'll blow him to pieces. And he's like, I don't want him like that. I'll come back or whatever. So he leaves. And then he gets turned into a ball, right?
Listen, I'm just gonna say this right now before we confuse everyone. If we could walk through the plot, it's gonna be a long podcast if we walk through the plot. It bounces around so much, but I believe Mike has balls put in him, or he turns into a ball because that's what happened to Jody.
Okay, all right. So, okay.
Sorry, I know, I'm messing up.
No. It's all over the place. So yeah, so maybe what happens is right after the car explosion, Reggie and Mike go into a house and they find Jody. And Jody's the brother of Mike from the first one, who they don't even really talk about much. And they're like, he died.
But he died, right?
Yeah, the first one, like, retro, I don't know. It makes it seem like he died in a car crash, but then he got killed by the tall man. So we don't really know. But he's giving visions to Mike and Reggie about the tall man. And he can turn into a ball and fight back.
My take is the tall man did the thing where he took Jody died. The tall man took the brain from Jody and put it in a ball. However, Jody is like overcome the spell, and he's a helpful ball.
Yeah, I mean that's as good as it's gonna get.
It's like Billy Butcherson in Hocus Pocus. He's a good zombie, like he's a good ball.
He's a good, yeah. They call them, what do they call them? Sentinels in this one. So yeah, so I guess the Matrix stole this. But anyways, so yeah, so the balls, Jody is back, and he's the original actor too. So I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. They got the original Jody back. So Mike gets captured by the tall man. And Reggie's like, all right, I don't know what I'm going to do now. So he takes the ball where Jody's in, and the ball tells him to go to Holtzville or something, which is a random town. So before we get into this, because this is kind of like where the movie really starts to take off, do you think that this is a countrywide phenomenon, or is this just happening in small towns in this area?
I think small towns right now, and then it's going to pop off.
Okay. All right. So basically it starts in Oregon. I think this whole movie takes place
He's building an army. We learned that pretty much at the end.
Right.
We learned that before too. It's like, what's he doing? It's like he's building an army.
Okay, so there's at least as far as we know, there's like 4 or 5 towns that this has happened to, and they're like, oh, it was from an oil spill or something, or oh, it was whatever. They always have an excuse for why the town's all fucked up, but nobody's really exploring why these towns are all ghost towns. But Reggie goes to Holtzville. He gets captured by like a gang of people, basically, who are just going through this town, robbing whatever's left. And they drive to this random house. I don't know why. So they put Reggie in the back of his car, drive to this random house. And this random ass house is like the Home Alone fun house. It's like a mansion that's been rigged by this kid who, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty surprised that kid killed that woman. Like, that really shocked me.
Like with the tomahawk, and then
yeah.
And then he slit the throat with the other thing, or that was the ball, right? Wait, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
There's so much that would happen. There's so much. Yeah, but he threw the tomahawk. It's like, oh my god.
He kills the woman and then stabs the other guy in the like thigh and then runs away. And I was like, yo, this kid is like Kevin McAllister if he actually committed murder.
Like Dennis the Menace, but like bad.
Yeah. It was pretty. I mean, it was an interesting character, but yeah, he's got like a monkey mask on and he's running around or whatever. And then he ends up. Reggie, basically, he goes out, the balls kill these guys. He goes out, here's Reggie, and then him and Reggie become like friends. And it's just kind of like, what is happening in this movie? Why did they bring Mike back just to take him away? Like, it was so weird.
I think they wanted to, like, I mean, Mike's a lot older in this one by like how many years? Like 15 years at least, right?
Whatever 94 minus 77 is.
Yeah, just about. All right, 16 years about. So, yeah, they probably wanted to get that Reggie with the kid chemistry again. I don't know. That was my take.
Well, I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. But I just thought it was pretty odd for them to be like, okay, we're going to bring back the original Mike, and then we're immediately going to get rid of him. And it's like, okay.
I wonder why. I mean, was it like, we just, like, is he not a good actor? And you're like, you know what? Don't make him a main thing. Just, like, put him to the side, but say we got OG Mike, and, like, we'll get another kid.
I think he was a pretty bad actor, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to knock him. I'm usually a child actor, and this is probably his only other role, and he's probably like, I don't want to do it. It's like, we'll pay you a good amount of money. It's like, all right, like, what do I do? It's like, most of the time you're lobotomized.
Yeah. I mean, the new kid, Tim, I thought he did a pretty good job. I liked him.
And they got him right out of the Mickey Mouse Club, that kid. That kid's like a shining star.
Yeah, I liked him.
It's pretty good. Is he in anything else? I haven't looked up any of the Tim kid.
No, I didn't look him up.
I'll do that while you're talking. Go do your point.
No, but I mean, you know, I think that the reason I asked you too is like if the entire country's affected by the tall man, and it's like is it a wasteland? Because there's a scene right after what we were just talking about where Tim and Reggie become like friends and they start driving town to town, and they let Reggie drive, or he lets Tim drive, and I'm like, wait, are there still fucking rules in this world? Like this kid's like 7 or whatever, like 10 or whatever. And he's driving that car so fast. Like, that scene, I don't know. So that's why I was like, maybe there are no police? Like, I don't know. What if you get pulled over? What do you be like? Well, listen, there's a tall man alien, and he killed his parents, and he stole my friend. It's just like, you're breaking the law, Reggie, with a kid. How do you even explain the kid being there?
Yeah, it's not like an apocalyptic world right now.
Right.
It's just there's just like bad areas that are being looted and stuff.
Yeah. So he let a 10-year-old drive his car on the highway. And I'm like, okay. Anyways, so then Reggie and Tim go on a little adventure of their own. They go into another mausoleum. They meet these 2 women who, again, immediately capture Reggie, and then they get killed, or one of them gets killed. And then the other one becomes their, like, best friend. And I was like, all right. So it was weird, man. I didn't mind these new characters, but I didn't like how they replaced the ones that we knew with new ones when they already had perfectly good characters. You know, add these people too, but keep the ones that we already have established. You know.
Yeah, I think Reggie's the guy though. Clearly, he's probably like, if I had to guess it with the director, he's probably like really good friends with the director.
Oh, yeah.
I really don't know, but like he's probably like a really good person to work with. You can just tell, like, hey Reggie, can you do this? Can you say it this way? Can you do it? He seems like he just nails it every time, and just I could see that actor. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but
it's Reggie.
It's Reggie. Bro, yeah. Like I could just see him being easy to work with. I really do.
I have no problem with him being the lead, but it's like the girl that you introduced in the last movie was like a huge character, and then you immediately kill her off and replace her and Mike with Tim and this new girl, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't like switching out characters that we like for new ones. It's the same thing with Friday the 13th Part 4 and 5. It's like you introduce these new characters, you kill off the ones we like, and then it like makes me not care as much.
Would you want to recast the blonde character? Because now she's older too, and Reggie, he's clearly aged as well, but he's definitely like the solid. You cannot change Reggie. You know?
No, I'm just pissed off that they literally killed that character from the second movie, and they don't even
let it go.
They don't
Gotta
even.
let it go.
I know, but it bothers me. And then we meet these two new characters, and then they're just thrown in randomly. But anyways, all right, let's keep moving forward.
Yeah, we'll bring it up a couple more times when Alex really upset about the blonde dying. I know she's blonde, Alex.
That's
She's
not
blonde.
why. I'm just mad because of the character development.
And I look. Oh wait. Kevin Connor's the kid who plays Tim. Not a lot. Pre-Hysteria 2. Walking Thunder, I don't know, 1997. And Pleasantville, though, that's a big move. Reese Witherspoon, Spider-Man, can't go wrong.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, nothing else, though. He's not in much.
Yeah, he doesn't have a Wikipedia, but anyway, so we got Rocky, Tim, and Reggie. There are 3 leads, and they're, going crazy, going through towns, looking for things. Rocky's kind of just like, I mean, she was robbing this mausoleum. Her best friend gets murdered, and now she's like, fuck it, I'm along for the ride.
Can I ask you, didn't they drive away from the mausoleum, like far away, and then all of a sudden she's on the side of the road? Or am I losing my mind?
Yes, you're right. She left, and then she was hitchhiking, and they picked her up. You're right.
But, like, didn't it seem like they drove really far away?
I can't remember, but I think you're right. Yeah, it's very odd. It's like, why didn't she just go with them at the mausoleum?
It's like, wait, how did she get there? First of all, there's no other car or anything, and I don't know, it made no. I was like, what? And if that's my thing that like bothers me, I'm very weird. I don't know, makes no sense.
Well, let's get on to the weirdest part of the movie, which is Rocky and Reggie's relationship.
Dying laughing.
Dude, he is like, he would have got Me Too'd hard nowadays.
Yes.
He was going after her, and she just kept saying no, and he just didn't give a shit.
I texted you last night. I was like, dude, he made the kids sleep in the car.
Jesus.
Well, first of all, he went to the hotel clerks. I have 2 twin beds and a queen. He's like, I'll get the queen. And then he goes back. He's like, oh, they only have a queen bed. Tim, do you mind sleeping in the car? But the kid, wow, what a wingman.
Oh, Tim's the man.
Wingman Tim. Like,
but here's the thing, Eric. They're running from like an evil demon alien thing. Like, maybe don't think with your dick right now and think like, hey, this kid could get fucking killed if we leave him out in the car by himself. It's just crazy. I don't know. And the guy who's running the hotel is an alcoholic. We have no idea who this guy is. He's pounding whiskey, a bottle, as he's signing the guy in. It was just, I don't know.
Ooh, also, another thing, didn't he say like a certain amount of money, and it looked like he gave him like 5 singles? And he's like, I'm just hoping he's drunk and thinks that this is the correct amount. Like, that's what it looked like. It was bad.
Yeah, it's a bad look. And then, the kid sleeps in the car. Reggie tries to hook up with Rocky the whole time. Then she, handcuffs him or whatever. But I'm like,
tricks him.
I'm like, this is supposed to be the hero. Like, this guy's like not taking no for an answer. And I'm like, Reggie, look at yourself. You're like 40 years old. Like, come on.
There's a time and a place, it seems like, and it was like around this time. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And dude, here's the other thing. Like, if your entire family got murdered a couple months ago, and then you're immediately hooking up with another like 20-something-year-old, and then she gets killed the day before, and then you're trying to hook up with that, it's like, Reggie, you're a psychopath.
Yeah, Reg he's an animal. That guy needs to be locked up, guaranteed on probation, and can't set foot near like a school.
Putting kids in danger to get laid, like he's.
I know, it's so bad.
All right, so moving on. So I guess like the whole thing of the movie we find out is that the tall man is building an army, and he's trying to use Mike because we find out later in the movie that Mike might have been an android alien the whole time, just like what's her face? Alchemy, yeah, she's like an android the whole time, and so is Mike. So, Reggie, Rocky, and Tim, they have like a final battle at the largest mausoleum in the west side of the country.
Yeah. But isn't like Jody along for the ride, but he's like a dead ball? He's like an 8-ball?
Yeah, they like shake him, and they tell him where to go and everything like that.
Literally, he turns into like a magic 8-ball, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was cool that they had him along for the ride to like, he could direct them where to go. And, that was cool. The other thing is, we forgot to mention the people that capture Reggie in the beginning and they throw him into their car or whatever, they, for some reason, are zombies now. And they're, like, chasing, Reggie and Tina, and they're, like, defending the tall man. It was just, like, why them? But anyway, so they're like invincible and they take a million shots and stuff like that. So many drawn out fight scenes, and then the tall man finally decides he's going to like buzz Mike's face off or whatever, and like he's gonna put his brain in a ball. That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna do that to Mike. And dude, I don't know if it was just me, but the editing in that scene, I was like, he started buzzing his head. Then they show like a full fight scene in another room, and then they're like, "Where's Mike?" It's like he's in the embalming room. It's like, dude, his head is gone. Like it's been like 10 minutes.
He's been like drilling it. Yeah, it was not good.
And then they finally go in the room. He's like, ah, and he like barely touched him. I was like, what was happening? Why didn't you show the fight and then this? Because it makes me think like he's getting buzzed the entire fight. You know?
He should be like Jack Nicholson at the end of Cuckoo's Nest. Like he's not coming back. Like
right, exactly. And I mean, and listen, when they're in the car scene, there's like a car chase scene, and they throw that female zombie, and she gets hit by the car.
I know.
2 cars hit her, like all the wheels hit her. And then she's back at the house fighting. And then for some reason, they're like, okay, well, we kicked her off the banister, so she's definitely dead. It's like she got hit by 2 cars. I don't know. The fighting got a little drawn out. Like, the fighting scenes were kind of lame.
Is there anything you really liked?
I mean, I like the movie, honestly. I did. There's holes in it, but I like how it's a continuation of the second one. I like the road trip aspect. I like how they're just going town to town and running into events. I don't like the characters that they got rid of, and the new ones that came seemed kind of like useless, I guess. I don't know. I liked Rocky. I think she's badass and cool, but like she just ends up as just like, I'm out of here, and she just leaves at the end. So you're like, what was this all for?
I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of cool parts and ideas kind of scattered throughout. I actually really liked the flashbacks at the end.
Which one?
When we see like that cool shot of the the tall man walking and then looking.
Oh yeah.
Boy. I mean, that just like, to me, that's the coolest part, because I was like, man, this has been a 15-year sequel. And imagine being like 7 at the time and then going to see. It's like that's a cool like feeling, I think, for any like fan.
Speaking of flashback, what did you think when Mike has the flashback of him standing next to Reggie at the ice cream truck, and he's like, cold. He doesn't like cold. And it was like, what are you talking about? That part.
I mean, Reggie, say what you want. I think he aged pretty well for 15
Not
years.
Not Reggie.
Wait,
no,
who?
No, Mike is the one having the flashback.
Yeah.
And he randomly is like, wait, the tall man doesn't like cold.
Right,
like
right.
That was one of his flashbacks, was remembering that. It's like, wait, that never happened.
I don't remember that at
yeah.
all.
And the other thing is, there is like a nitrous, like whatever the tank that kills the tall man or whatever is like some freezing temperature shit. Why would that ever be in the place where the tall man is?
That's like, if you're a vampire, it's like, hey, we have like 40 boxes of garlic. It's like, get it out of here. No.
Yeah.
No, what are you doing? Like, I don't want like liquid nitrogen near me. Like,
yeah.
What the hell is the tall man doing? Liquid nitrogen.
It's like not locked up. It's working actively. And they're like, okay, all we got to do is like put him in the thing. It's like, why is that even here?
It's like, wait, the one thing that could kill me, let's put it right here, but a lot of it too.
Yeah. That was like, okay.
No, it'd be one thing if it was like ice, like they make an ice bath, but like it's like, no, there's liquid nitrogen right here. I know.
Yeah, so I mean, I do think it's a notch down from the second one. I think the second one's probably the best that we've seen so far.
Yeah. Was there the golden ball in the second one? I can't recall there was. I remember there was like the fluid coming out of the tall man. I don't remember the golden ball, which I thought was kind of cool.
I think there was. I don't remember.
Okay. I don't remember the golden ball. I remember being like, imagine being in the theater watching this, or it went straight to video. I forgot.
Yeah.
But imagine watching this at home on your couch and being like, he's the golden ball. There's always been silver balls, but now it's a golden ball. I don't know. It's cool.
Well, I mean, now this next movie is going to be like hundreds of silver balls this looked horrible.
It's going to get crazy.
Well, I mean, you saw it at the end of the movie. The ceiling is just like hundreds of balls. Hundreds of the spheres.
Wait, so you think it's going to be like right from that to I have no idea what the fourth
I don't
one is.
either. I know nothing about the fourth one. But that was probably the lamest thing in the entire movie, dude, was that shot of the ceiling with all of those balls. I'm like, those are clearly just Christmas balls that you just...
I know.
It's like, guys...
strings, and like, it's like, put the vacuum on, and like make the balls move.
Some of them were moving. Some of them weren't. I know. Guys.
I know. It's better to just, dude. But I get it. Hey, I'm going to do my sequel walkthrough. The first Phantasm Came out March 28th, 1979. It's an hour and 29 minutes long. Its budget was 300,000. The box office, this is still insane to me. 22 million or 6.8 million, which is to me is like when you go on Wikipedia and you see that you're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck happened to like $18 million? I don't know. To me, that's crazy. Rotten Tomato critic scores of 74, Rotten audiences 67. So people generally like the first one. And it's not bad for 1979. The second one came out 9 years later, July 8th, 1988, 888. I don't know if that was a thing. Hour and 37 minutes, so a tad longer. Budget was 3 million, up from 300,000 to 3 million. Only made 7.3 million. So it's like, it made we're double, but like marketing and stuff. You're thinking, okay, we broke even. That's enough Phantasm. Rotten Critic 38, Rotten Audience 57. So people are like, I like this movie still. Screw the critics. Number 3, this one, May 6, 1994, which is a 6-year gap from the second one and like a 15-year gap from the first one. The hour 31 minutes. Its budget is 2.5 million. There's no box office because it wasn't released, but I'm sure I would like to think it made money with the VHSs and whatnot. Rotten Critics 44, Rotten Audience 43. So I feel like the third one was like a big like, let's roll the dice one more time. The first one made apparently 22 million or 6 million. To me, I got to figure out why. But yeah, it's like we got OG Mike. Like we can nail this, you know?
It's like after the second one didn't really make that much money, they're like, all right, we're going straight to VHS. But the other thing was Universal kind of was like, they own the rights to it and they step back. They're like, listen, we're kind of done here. So you can do whatever you want to do. So Don Coscarelli had to raise a lot of the money. And apparently, I can't remember if it's 9 or 19th, but it's either the 9 or 19th most successful straight to VHS movie of all time. So it definitely did well.
Overall? Ever? Are you kidding me?
Yes, yeah, of all time, of all direct to video, it was either the 9th or the 19th most successful.
I'd be happy with being the 200th. You know, that's that's impressive.
And the other thing was, so they could only get the screening in 2 markets. Just guess really quick. What do you think the 2 markets are? They're not famous markets.
Like, what do you mean, like demographic?
To get this to play in theaters, they got 2 areas where they could play it in theaters. Where do you think it was? 2 cities.
Wherever the cities were in the movie, right?
No.
Ohio or some shit. Where?
So for some reason, it opened in May '94 in Baton Rouge and St. Louis. Don't know why.
I mean, that's so random.
Yeah, but apparently it was the #1 grossing film in both of those markets for 2 straight weeks, and then it went straight to VHS in October of '94. So.
Wild stuff. I got a funny story too with this movie. So I was put up in a hotel with work, and I had to watch this. It was the only time I've been so busy this week. I started a new job, and I was like, all right, I'll watch it when I'm done with work in the hotel. You know, I finished work, watched it. It was like, and I passed out. And then the next day, everyone's like, how was your night? Like, what'd you do last night? Did you watch anything? And I'm just like, imagine cutting to me with Smart Food and Mike and Ike's watching Phantasm 3. It's like, yeah, I watched Phantasm 3 last night, like telling my coworkers. It's like, cool. But no, that made me laugh. It's like, oh yeah, I saw True Detective season, the finale on. Yeah.
That's how I felt like when I watched 8-Legged Freaks on the plane at like 4 a.m. coming back from like Florida or something.
Like, people probably thought you were like,
what is wrong with this guy?
Out of all the movies in the world,
at least you were alone, like you were in your room.
It was like the quietest. Like, I'm on my laptop though; it's not connected to the TV, so I'm like, it's like, what'd you do last night? Cut to me, Smart Food, Mike and Ike's, Phantasm 3. It's like, oh, I just watched TV and fell asleep. Like, it's just funny to me.
It is. It's so random. It's like the most random thing in the world. Really quick before we wrap up here, why do you think? Because again, the opening credits are so sick, dude. Like Phantasm 3, like it just looks great,
and the music and everything. Yeah, but what are you saying?
But why do you think? So when Phantasm 1, Phantasm 2, and then Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead. Why do you think they added a subtitle, and also why Lord of the Dead?
I don't. Lord of the Dead just sounds cool as shit, but I just think, like, if you're a fan of Phantasm, like, you're very in a niche like category. Like, I've met the person who my coworker, love him, recommended this to me, because like Wheel of Horror, you've seen Phantasm. I'm like, no, you should do that one. So I'm like, you're in that group. You love this movie if you're recommending this. So I don't know. I got to talk to him and ask him more about like where does that come from? I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Lord of the Dead, because I was just thinking like, I mean, it's not like
I don't. It's not that clever. It's not that inventive. But yeah, sure. Is that what the tall man is?
I guess, but he's been there the whole time, so it's not like there's this new guy. I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter. Anyways, fun movie. I'm excited for the fourth one and the fifth one. So, we're almost done. We got 2 left. So,
Absolutely.
anyways,
Yeah.
wanna spin the old wheel? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where 2 best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film, and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 1998's Phantasm V Oblivion, which was directed by Don Coscarelli. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Eric, and with us again, it's Mike Valente. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me back, guys. This is
I'm just going to stop you there. I'm stopping you there. Nothing else matters in this world than your perspective on this movie. Nothing. Nothing to me. Go.
Well, I mean, I guess we should start by saying that I haven't seen any of the other movies.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole thing is like Eric and I have been doing the sequels, or all of them. You know, we just finished the third one about 2 weeks ago. You can go listen to that episode. But we're like, it'd be funny if we just brought Mike in, you know, because he hasn't basically heard of this series.
Didn't that happen before with you, Alec, or something with Mike?
It happened with all 3 of us. Mike, you never saw The Last Jedi, right? The new Star Wars movie?
No.
Okay. But Eric and I came over to your house and we all watched The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
And you're like, I didn't see the 8th one. but you watched the 9th one and you're like, I get it. Like, I get it.
Yeah, I don't really remember much. I think it was okay.
Yeah, so how do you feel about this, having never seen any of them?
I had no idea what was happening, but I really like Reggie. I feel some sort of kinship with him, you know? Like, I loved when when the girl was in his hotel room and he let his hair down. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that exact moment, I was like, he looks like if Benjamin Franklin and Uncle Hank from Breaking Bad like became one person.
Good one. Yeah, that's good. That's a good combo. You know what? He looked. We watched Phantasm 3 fairly recently, and I have to say, he looks. I was like, oh, he aged very well in between the last film. You know.
You know who didn't was the old man, the tall man.
Yeah, Andy Scrim. Yeah, he was definitely. Yeah, he was aging in this movie.
That wasn't the same guy from Ghostbusters 2, was it?
No. I mean, that's a good comparison as well. But no, I mean, like Reggie's like he was old in the 70s in the first one, so it's like I think that's the trick in life. If you're old looking when you're young, you'll be young looking when you're old.
Yeah, the Larry David.
Exactly. The Steve Martin, like white hair. It's like he's always going to be like 65 to me. I don't know. It's just a trick you do. And I wish I kind of could go back in time and do that.
Well, Mike, I want to, just kind of get your like full on what is this movie? Just, I'm so curious. Not like little parts that you liked, but like if you had to explain this to somebody now.
All right. If I was going to try to explain what happened, which I'm not really sure about. Okay. So there's this Freddy sort of guy who he's not like a figment of his imagination. He's real. He's just from a different dimension or something.
Keep going.
And I guess he invented travel between dimensions, and he's very interested in Michael for some reason. He wants Michael for something. And a tuning fork is his weakness. I really don't know what those orbs are.
They're called Sentinels, Mike. God.
Okay, my bad. And it's so like Michael was like traveling between dimensions, and Reggie was basically driving straight on one road the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then somehow they both ended up in the same place.
Well, Michael, you've just been punked because both me and Alec have no idea what's happening in this movie either.
Pretty much. I mean, now that we've got your kind of like, well, let me ask you too, Mike, before we kind of bridge the gap between 3 and 4 here. Did you like it?
I did kind of, yeah. In a weird way, I kind of enjoyed it. I don't know. It was so bizarre. There were some shots I kind of liked, like when he was in the back of the hearse. Somehow, for some reason, I liked that shot.
With the candles lit in the back of a hearse. Like he had a full can. It's like, dude, that's a fire hazard and a half.
Oh, with gasoline? Get ready.
I like that he was sleeping in a hearse, not the long way, but from like the width. He was like
Right.
curled up in the fetal position.
Yeah, nothing makes sense in these movies. You'll come to learn that, Mike. I hope you go back and revisit the other ones because this one is not the best. But Eric, what do you think? How does this fit in? Do you think this is better than the third one?
I think the third one's better.
Really?
I do. And it's probably, I like that they're trying to give an origin story to the tall man, which I'm like, okay, that kind of is adding up with all the tuning fork stuff. But when they go there, it was like, I think that's where it lost me. When it was like Sturbridge Village, and he's like, "You are not wearing the clothes of this era."
Sturbridge Village.
Like, I don't know. That's what I was getting from it.
Like, would you like some lemonade?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't know what it's 18 something right now.
Even he doesn't know.
Yeah, it's like you are sure wearing some funny clothes. Like, oh boy.
Yeah, it was a little rough.
No, but my take is though, these are very really out there movies. They're clever. They're well shot for the budget of this one. Yeah, very well shot.
What was the budget?
I could walk through the stats in a bit, but this budget was $650,000.
Yeah, let's get into that in a little while because I do, just in case anybody's listening, I want to kind of fill in the gaps between 3 and 4, and then we can.
Yeah.
I wanted to say my favorite part of the whole series right now is the music. The music is like you could do the shittiest thing, but that music playing in the background is so cool. Always. Like with Reggie, like locking that 4-round shotgun up and stuff. The music is like you could be like just buttoning your shirt and it's cool.
Yeah, the music is sick and it's like, carries through the series just like Reggie. But yeah, we'll fill you in on a couple things too, Mike, because I think you'll find them interesting.
Yeah.
But basically, a couple things that annoyed me because at the end of 3, it ends with there's a character, Rocky, and she leaves and she's like, all right, see you guys. And we're like, all right. So we never see her again, apparently, because she's not in this one. But Eric, you remember the little kid, Tim, from the third one?
What's up? Where's my boy Tim? Where is he?
I know, dude. So Reggie had this little like sidekick, Tim, in the last one, Mike, and he's just gone and they don't even mention him in this one. So you're like, cool, interesting. Anyways, the third one ends with Mike and Reggie in a mausoleum and Reggie is pinned up against a wall by a bunch of the spheres. And Mike finds out that he's actually has a sphere in his head and he's like, I don't know, either an android or something, but the tall man really wants him. So it ends like that and you're like, oh shit, what's going to happen? Fourth one starts and it's basically just like, Mike ran away because he didn't know what to do. And then the tall man just lets Reggie go. So it's like, okay, we lost the characters from the third one, Rocky and Tim. And now Mike and Reggie are separated again. And I was like, okay, didn't love that start. But that's kind of where it takes off from the third one, Mike.
So he didn't take off at the end of the last one. He was just, that's something that was filled in at the beginning of the fourth.
Who?
Michael, sorry.
Yeah, why did he leave? Why did he leave Reggie?
And why was he in a hearse?
I don't know why he left, because at the end of the third one, he's standing there and he sees Reggie pinned up against the wall, and then all of a sudden it ends. But then this one, he's like in the desert on the run.
And I thought Rocky took off with the hearse with Tim, if I remember correctly at the end of it.
Okay, I didn't know it was with Tim, but okay.
I guess they just didn't fill in the gaps because it was the hearse that Rocky had with I think Tim was with Rocky. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Yeah, let's go with that because otherwise it makes fucking no sense.
Who's Rocky?
There's a character from the last one that Reggie also tried to have sex with, and she was just like, no, and she chains him to the bed that he tries to have sex with her in. But yeah, that's a kind of running theme in the movie, Mike, is Reggie's just like a horn dog scumbag. So it's every movie he tries something like that.
I'm surprised when the woman was like shows the metal ball breasting, which is probably one of the best shots in the film. Like when they pop out, it's hilarious. Like there's no way you're not laughing at that.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no, I bet, Mike.
Yeah. But you're right, though. I mean, I can't remember. I think it was you, Eric, that said it. But it's like the problem with this one is it's like the characters are separated the entire time. It's just like Mike's in the middle of the desert contemplating suicide. And then Reggie's like, I'm going to go find Mike. And that's pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah, exactly. And I bet, Mike, you're so confused about the Jody character, right?
Yes.
the third brother who's like, I died in the car crash. I mean, that is probably, if I was watching this the first time, I'd be like, what is going, that must have. So Al, can you fill Mike in on who Jody is?
Yeah, so Mike, in the first movie, like you see a lot of flashbacks to unreleased footage of the first movie in this one, which I loved. But basically, in the first movie, it's Mike and he's like 13, Reggie, he's like 35, and then Jody, and he's Mike's brother and Reggie's best friend. Jody gets killed at the end of the first one. And then in the third one, we find out that he actually became one of those spheres and he's been helping them. And then for some reason in this one, he turns evil. So we don't know if he's been evil the whole time, but in the third movie, he was super helpful and he's not in the second movie. But Jody is, yeah, Mike's brother and Reggie's best friend.
So I guess the tall man sent that girl to kill Reggie?
Yeah, that's so stupid too. So, yeah, there's this girl, Jennifer, and while Reggie's on the run trying to go find Mike, he just stumbles upon this woman at a phone booth and he's like, she's hot. So he starts following her.
She is.
Yeah, she is hot, but still. He starts following her and then he tries to drive around her on the highway. He's like, she's going kind of slow, but I'll go around her, give her a wave, like whatever. And then there's a turtle in the middle of the road and she crashes like crazy. Like it just flips. They get like 3 angles, so they show all the angles of the car flipping and it like explodes. Oh God. And then of course, like Reggie's like, I'll give you a ride. And he's like, listen, I'm tired. Let's go into this like abandoned, asbestos-ridden house and potentially have sex. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
With sheets that are made, like, yeah.
Yeah, the pizza that's not moldy.
What do you guys think that was? Because they never show the outside of it. So it's like, I think we should stay here. She's like, ew. Like, what is that?
Also, why didn't he bring in the sleeping bags?
He did. No, they had sleeping bags on the bed. I mean,
No, they were sleeping under the covers.
okay, I thought it was sleeping bags, but he has the couch pillows, which are like ratty, disgusting, and he's using those as his pillow. It's like, oh God, it's so gross.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Oof.
And come on, listen, this woman, you're going to tell me she doesn't know Reggie at all. And she's just going to be like kind of getting naked in front of him, taking a shower, just like, come on, come on.
Yeah, I mean, well, she is a stripper.
Is she?
Yeah, she said that. What'd she say? Something about dancing. I don't know.
Oh, I must have missed that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like I've danced in worse places.
Oh.
Or no. She said that this reminded her about the club she used to dance in or whatever.
All right. So if it's worse than that place, my God. But yeah, so basically Reggie and Jennifer are just kind of like whatever on a little completely wasted side quest because Jennifer ends up being evil and they get in a fight and he kills her. So it's like, cool. But the whole time Mike is having like a fever dream nod to the Doors movie of just like being in the desert and seeing the tall man and then seeing like, portal to another dimension. But why do you guys, I mean, Mike, I don't think you'll be able to answer this, but Eric, why do you think he was going to kill himself?
To like get out of his spell. It's like the only way out is that.
Get that guy out of his head.
Yeah. I just feel like he's trying to find a loophole to beat the tall man.
Yeah, and it doesn't work because he tries to kill himself and the tall man's like, that's for me to do. Or Mike's like, fuck. But, Mike, what'd you think about the Jawa things, like, coming out of nowhere?
Oh my God, yeah, like the thing that just kept popping up in the window.
The window and, like, the rocks and the desert and stuff. It would just come out of nowhere.
Between that and the little old lady in the rocking chair, she popped up a few times, too.
Yeah, we've never seen her before either. That's completely random. I think that's the tall man, Jebediah's wife, I think. But Eric, do you want to explain to Mike like what the dwarves are, like what the tall man's doing, like what this all is?
I don't even remember what the dwarves are. What are they?
Okay.
Didn't Reggie say that in the fourth one when he was explaining to Jennifer? He was like, he turns people into those small things or something like that. Why do you think that town is empty? He said that.
Okay, so yeah, so basically he takes people, he takes dead people and he turns them into these dwarves and then sends them in his dimension and then turns them into slaves. And we see that going back to the first one because like first one is just like Mike's parents die and Jody's there like to take care of him. And then he sees at his parents' funeral, the tall man is taking the casket and carrying it in one arm and walking away with it. And he's like, what the fuck? And basically that just kicks off the whole series. But yeah, so that's kind of what they are. But like, Eric, what did you think about the flashback scenes? Because that's all footage from the 1979 film that they just never put in the film. It was just deleted scenes.
Like of him standing over Jody's grave?
Everything, dude. Anytime you saw the young kid, that was from the original film. They just,
I actually really like those shots too.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, he asked me, Mike.
Oh, sorry,
So
you're
I was
right.
trying to answer. It was the best part of the movie. Having those flashback scenes, and just if you're a fan of these movies, which we've learned there is a cult following for these films, it must be really cool to see something 20 years ago about 20 years ago, making its way back into a film like this and seeing new stuff. It's like, that's cool.
Especially the scene when the tall man's like getting hung, like that was never in the original, and they have that footage, and they're like, okay, so we'll like manipulate it into the story. Like I thought they did a really good job with that too.
Yeah, not to skip ahead to the final scene, but that was like the big part of the final scene is that footage.
Yeah.
So if that was supposed to be in the first one, so he like basically was like released back then?
So the first one was filmed and it was 3 hours long, and they're like, no. So they cut it down to like an hour and a half, and then they released it, and it did extremely well. And yeah, Eric, if you want to get into like the different budget and sequels.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do that real quick. So, Mike, the first one came out March 28th, 1979. So it's a 70s film. Hour 29 minutes. Its budget was about $300,000, and it made 22 million back then.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So they were like, wow. Rotten Critics score was 74%. The audience score is 67%. So fresh.
Nice.
The second film, 1988, an hour 30. Budget was $3 million. So way higher budget. It only made $7.3 million. So it's like, all right, we made double our money. The third one came out in 1994. Now, by the way, there's a 9-year gap between the first and second one.
Oh, and really quick, the first two were the only ones in theaters. They all went to VHS after that.
Yes. The third one was released on video in 1994. I don't know any numbers of how much it made, but its budget was $2.5 million again. And Rotten Critics score was 44%, Rotten Audience 43%. So you can start to see the downfall of money. It's almost like hey, we hit big the first movie, let's try it again, and it's like, all right, let's stop.
Yeah.
So the fourth one, which is the one you just watched, came out in 1998. That's 19 years since the first movie. Hour 30 exactly. Its budget was $650,000. Critic score was the worst so far of 29%. Rotten Audience was also the worst so far with 42%.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. I still like this one, I think, a little more than the third one. I mean, even though the characters aren't together at all.
It has its cool parts and stuff, but it's very disjointed. The tuning fork and the whole like idea of the origin of the tall man's really cool. It actually feels like Back to the Future Part 3 to me in some ways, but I would say 3 is better than this one. That's just my take, but I like this one. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I'm starting to really like these movies, like as we've been watching them, and I've listened back to our old podcast about the second one and the first one, and just like, okay, like I like these. Another thing, Mike, that you might find interesting, and I want to ask you too, Eric. So the character Mike, the actor that plays him, he was in the original one, and then they got rid of him for the second one, and people were like, what the fuck? And they freaked out, and they burned down a bunch of malls and stuff. But then, when the third one came out, they brought him back. And people were like, oh, this is great, but his acting was pretty bad. Eric.
It's way better in this film.
I know.
It's like, you're right there.
It's like night and day how much better his acting is in this one. And that's not saying much. He's not like, fucking Robert De Niro or anything.
No, you're right. Then something about the third one, he came back. He must be rusty from not acting since 1979, but I don't know, whatever it was, but I agree with you.
Yeah, it's much better. So they brought him back, and everybody liked that. And then the other thing is the Don Coscarelli, the writer and director. He's done all of them, all 5 of them. This is like his baby. This is his project.
He directed all of them except for the 5th one, which we still have to do.
Oh, that's right. I think he wrote that one. Yeah,
but he's involved. He's involved with it. Yeah,
right,
he produced it at least.
There's a 5th one.
You bet.
Oh, Michael, wait, you think it ends like this, Mike? Come on.
We have no idea. We've never seen it. Can I give a little backstory to Mike too? So when we started this Wheel of Horror podcast in 2020 when pandemic was going on, one of my coworkers pretty much told me like, "Oh, you guys should do Phantasm." I've never even heard of this movie series, anything. And since then, we've just done it. I was at a wedding and I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You should do Phantasm. It's really cool." And like that was it.
Yeah, I had never heard of it.
You never even heard about it, right? You've never
No.
heard of Tall Man. Nothing. No poster you've ever seen. Like
I saw it. I saw it when I was a kid.
you did. I did not. And yeah, so I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, my mom showed it to me when I was very young. But another thing I want to ask you, Mike, do you think that the Elder Scrolls series ripped off this movie's subtitle?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, the 4 in Oblivion is clutch.
That's what Elder Scrolls did, I think, too. It was like Oblivion, because this Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. So, anyways, yes, but Eric, I will say the music is amazing in this series, and the title cards continue to be amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I love the Phantasm, and then 4.
Oh, it's like Phantasm Oblivion, and then you see the 4 show up in Oblivion. I'm like, yeah, that's hot.
The second one, I still get fucking hard thinking about it. Like, dude, it's just like and then that 2, it's just like, and it's like metallic, and it's so good. I love it. I love it. Yeah, Tall Man has become one of my like favorite like horror villains, even though he kind of lets people get away a lot, and he's always just like, I'll let you go away for now. I'll get you later. It's like, why? Just kill him now.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the boy, like I love that thing that he does. Like boy, that's all the way from the first one, but also the walking is like the coolest thing. The like you've seen him walk the streets, Mike, where you hear just footsteps. I love that shit.
I thought that was hilarious though, because I was like, oh, it's just an old man walking down the street.
Oh, that's scary.
He didn't look particularly tall.
It was a good shot too. That one with the empty street too, and all the lights are still red. I was like, yeah, that's a tight shot.
I know. I love that.
Do you think Big Trouble Little China took their villain from this?
Maybe.
I mean, other than the fact that he's Chinese, but
yeah, I was gonna say.
No, it's just he's like super tall and he's like kind of like magic, I guess.
I mean, that was one of the movies you were on with us, I remember. So I love that deep dive.
Yeah, I love that movie.
And to bring it all back, Mike, the Force Awakens and all that movie, Captain Phasma?
Wait, what?
He doesn't remember Captain Phasma.
The metallic stormtrooper from the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, Captain Phasma?
I don't remember that.
Okay, never mind. The character is named after this movie because of the balls, because she's metallic, and the character Phantasm Phasma. Anyways.
She has balls?
No. Never mind.
Oh, it's the Sentinels.
All right. I don't know. I'm enjoying this series. We just got to do the last one, Eric.
Unfortunately, the 5th one's not in this wheel, but our summer wheel's hitting really soon, and that's going to be absolutely on the summer wheel.
Sign me up. I got to know what happens next.
Yeah, you got to know. I want to. That's also the final installment, Mike. Like they're done. Like the Tall Man is also in it. It came out in 2016. So he must have been, how old is he in that movie? He's got to be in his 90s in this 5th one.
He died when he was 89. So he died in 2016 when the movie came out.
So probably not in his 90s then.
Yeah, he was 89 when that movie came out and he died.
Yeah, I was about to say he had to be at least like 90, but yeah, 89. So this one, Mike, to put that in perspective, this one came out in 1998. The next one, the 5th one, came out in 2016.
Yeah, big jump.
Wait, he died before the last one?
No, he's in the last one. The Tall Man's in the last one. I don't know into what capacity. I don't think it's going to be much, but so that's 2016 minus, what is it? 2016. I can't do quick math. Minus 1998. That's another 20-year difference almost.
Yeah, it was 18.
So think of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, another thing, really quick, a little tidbit. In 1999, or no, I think it was like 1995, the guy that co-wrote Pulp Fiction with Quentin Tarantino, his name is Roger Avery. He wrote a Phantasm 4, basically, that was supposed to come out between this one and the 4th one, or the 3rd one and the 4th one.
I know who they wanted. I know who they wanted in it, right?
Bruce Campbell.
Yep.
But it was also, they were going to do the Mad Max thing where it's just all of a sudden it's the apocalypse now. And they're just in the apocalypse, and LA and New York are like the only cities, and then everything in the middle of the country is like a wasteland. And if you go, and that's where Mike is being held. So Reggie has to go in there and get him. That was what the movie was going to be. I'm like, that sounds pretty good.
That sounds very good.
Yeah, where does Snake Plissken come in?
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, I don't know, the 5th one, I've seen a couple like shots of it randomly and stuff like that, and it kind of looks like it's post-apocalyptic, so I don't know. Maybe they'll take some beats from it.
Probably, if I had to guess.
But Mike, do you think now that you've seen this one, do you have any interest in watching the 1st and 2nd and 3rd one?
I mean, I already know everything that happens.
You don't know anything that happened.
No, I kind of do. I kind of am interested. I want to see where it got its start.
I think you'd like the first one a lot. I think that one you'd appreciate.
I think I would.
I like your take, Mike, that you enjoyed it because I was ready for you like to say like I hated every second of this movie. I have no idea what I watched, but you liked it.
No, I was ready to watch like a flaming piece of garbage.
Yeah, it's not a piece of garbage. I was ready for you to say that, and I was going to say, do you realize that our lifetime average has about 692,000 hours to it, and you just wasted like 2 of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
You'll never get that time back.
No, I mean, I think that was like my, expectations were so low
Right.
that they actually exceeded them.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to go into this series with pretty low expectations, but
Yeah. You do that and you're going to enjoy it.
yeah. But music's good, stories all over the place. You can tell the budget definitely got lowered.
Next time we're all in a car together at night, we were putting on this song and just like coasting. We're gonna just be like driving, like, and no one's saying a word. And we're just gonna just vibe out.
I'm down. We should do it by that road by Flammic Farms. That one that's just like dead. Oh, really quick, we got to talk about the ending, the way the movie ends.
What was your thought, Alec? I honestly didn't understand it.
I didn't either.
No, me either.
Fuck. All right, no one understood it. All right.
Yeah, there's not a lot that I understand, to be honest.
I wouldn't expect you to understand this ending in general.
I mean, they're fighting in the desert, and Reggie's got a shotgun. He kills a bunch of the Jawa people or whatever. And then Mike gets his orb taken out of his brain by the tall man. The tall man goes back into his portal. Mike's like left dead, and then Reggie goes into the portal. And then it does a flashback to a deleted scene from the first movie of them just getting into the truck, and then they're like, "Did you hear something?"
I don't know. It's like almost like the telekinesis thing was like a thing that was happening at one point.
Oh yeah, with the engine.
That, but also he blew up a dwarf. But also Reggie, that time he shotgunned that other one that was like he was like sniffing it. So I'm like wondering if they're starting to like give their older selves powers and senses to combat this in the future almost.
That'd be interesting.
Which is a wild take, but that's like it's like that's almost not dimensional, that's time travel. So
why not?
Yeah, but he went back in time to a different dimension to see old farmer tall man.
But maybe this is a dimension that's being created by the Mike and Reggie that we just watched to tell the new dimension in the past what to do. I don't know.
I like that idea. I just don't think it's possible because
It's so hard. Yeah.
They don't have that footage to like go back and be like, "What do you mean?" and then like explain it to them. But I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's like a flashback, to the past, and it makes it seem like Mike, is like aware of what's going on, even though it's clearly just the editing and
That last scene with like Reggie and young Mike like driving or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what did that symbolize? Is Mike dead?
We don't know.
Yeah,
So,
I guess.
that's the thing. Eric thinks that it might be like him transporting himself back in time so that he can tell Reggie how to beat the tall man, or it could just be a flat. I don't know. We don't really don't know. We'll find out hopefully in the 5th one, but I've heard I will not watch anything, until I see the movie, but YouTube commenters are just like, yeah, it's kind of a letdown. So I'm like, fuck. But who knows? Who knows? We could like it.
I'm sure there'll be some cool parts.
Yeah. And like Reggie's still alive, that actor, and who knows? Who knows? They're all still alive.
We've all already spent 20 years with these characters, essentially, Alec. We've watched 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is in the time span since 1979 to 1998. We might as well make it 40 years real quick.
Oh, yeah.
We've grown up with Mike and Reggie. Like, we know them.
And Jody, too, kind of. Oh, okay. All right. Last thing. Eric, why did Jody turn evil?
The tall man had his body and put an orb in him and made him one of his, and also made him pretend that he was helping, but really he died in the car crash and he was never helping.
But he was really helping in the 3rd one, dude.
I know.
Like, he was really helping. And then, like, out of nowhere, Mike just hugs Reggie. He's like, "Don't trust him." I was like, wait, like, did I miss something? When did Jody become this fucking asshole?
Long con for the tall man. Also, like, I want to be together with you guys and be like, "Don't trust them." Like, hand you a tuning fork. It's like, what is this?
And then when he drills into Mike's head or whatever too, and he escapes, like that happened in the 3rd one too, Mike. There's like a 10-minute scene of Mike getting his head drilled by the tall man. And we're like, he's dead. He would be dead. And he gets up and he's like, "I'm okay."
I like his Enlarged nostrils too.
Oh, when he stabs that thing up his nose.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
Like
a
the
no-no. I
prosthetic.
looked away.
Yeah.
But I liked the cop in the trunk thing. With all the like broken limbs. They were all like he was just like shoved in there.
Dude, that was fucked up. Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
like, kill me, and he blows the car up. Yeah, that was crazy. That scene with that zombie that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it just wouldn't die.
Yeah, very Evil Dead.
Oh yeah, and how about that part when he just all that yellow stuff, he just spit all that into Reggie's mouth and Reggie just kind of stayed there.
It's embalming fluid because they're dead already.
I thought that was blue.
They did it to get around censors in the first one, so I think they've just kept that trend going of having the blood be yellow. Yeah. All right. Well, Mike, thank you very much for jumping on here and subjecting yourself to seeing the fourth one and only the fourth one. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks guys. I loved it.
Good. We'll have you on for the fifth one when we do it, soonish. Yeah.
Can't wait.
But Eric, you have any last minute thoughts?
I just love the music. Just got to say that. Yeah, that's all. But anyway, I'll spin the wheel.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2016's Phantasm V Ravager, which was directed by David Hartman. I'm your co-host, Alec.
On Eric, and with us again for his second Phantasm film, Mike Valente. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, so happy to be back. The fourth was so good, I just couldn't wait for the fifth.
Yes. So anybody that didn't listen to the Phantasm 4 episode, for a little bit of context here, Eric and I have done all of the series, so you can go back and listen to those episodes. But Mike joined us in part 4, had no idea about this franchise beforehand, and jumped in blind. And here he is to finish out the series with us. So
it's like not knowing anything about Harry Potter and just going to see the fifth one. That's like the way I would describe it.
That's actually a good comparison, yeah.
Except this is not Harry Potter.
Yeah. No. And I'd say it's a little bit more confusing. Like this fifth movie, there's so much to unpack here. I'm excited to go through it with you guys.
Well, this is all of our first time seeing this, so that's exciting. And historically, Eric and I, we, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but we loved the first two, and then they've kind of started to go off the rails a little bit after that. Is that about right for you too?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate 4.
No, I don't hate any of them.
3 was crazy too. Everyone wanted the real Mike back, right?
Yeah, and he did come back in 3, 4, and this one, so the only thing that really changed is Don Coscarelli didn't direct this one. He wrote and produced it, conceptualized it, but he didn't actually direct it. And I think it's noticeable. I really do. But yeah, so this movie, moving into the fifth one, the final, and it is the final because Angus Scrimm died. So, I mean, for them to have to replace him, it's just not going to work.
No, never going to happen. They're done. There's no way another one, unless they do a complete revamp. But no, done.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to have to do. I mean, they could always just say some bullshit and make the tall man like, oh, he's like a new tall man, whatever. But before we really get into this, Mike, I am curious, what is your thought on this one versus the fourth one?
I honestly don't really remember the fourth one so well.
What year did the fourth one come out, Alec?
98.
Yeah, 98 to 2016.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's nuts.
You want to hear something even crazier? The first one came out in 1979, and this one came out, like you said, Alec, 2016. So that's 37 years of these films.
Yeah, it's great.
And they're spread out for 5 films.
Big time. All right, so you don't remember the fourth one, Mike, really, like at all?
Well, a little bit. I mean, they had some clips from it, which kind of jogged my memory. Like I remember they blew up the tall man, but I guess he, didn't really get blown up. But I love that Reggie's been walking in the desert ever since then. That's like the start of this film. He's just like wearing like his vest and his white clothes, and he's like just walking out of the desert.
I'm going to say this right now. That was probably my favorite part of the movie was the start.
Yeah, the intro.
Just the music. Do 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 do. When that music hit, I was like, oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. And then Reggie power walking through the desert. I was like, oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Well, I just love how it totally disregards the end of the fourth one. Like they like blow up the tall man. Reggie is alone in the desert. They pull Mike into the thing, and then it's just kind of like, okay, and his car's gone. We just don't know where any of that is. This movie is definitely, I think, the most confusing of all of them. This one's really all over the place.
Here's my take. any one line in this movie can completely change the movie. Like it's like, oh, by the way, like the Earth's apocalypse now. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. It's like any if you go to the bathroom and come back, you could miss the entire plot of the movie.
Yeah, this one specifically because like the other ones are like, okay, maybe the tall man's fucking with them, but this one you're like, is it all a dream? Because like the main thing that they do is kind of Reggie wakes up and he's in like a mental asylum and he has dementia and Mike is like his therapist or something. So it kind of makes it seem like this might all be in his head, or maybe it is the tall man fucking with him again. So it jumps back and forth between all these different realities. So it becomes so confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Mike is his therapist. I think he's just his friend visiting him at the asylum.
Okay.
But then at some point he's like, I'm starting to remember things. Like I had a dream that of everything you were talking about, and he has one of those metal like spheres in his head, I guess.
Oh, that's been there since part 3, Mike. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. My take was kind of like there's two dimensions going on, and he's going in between both of them. But when he goes in between them using the forks or the tuning fork things, it's like now he's in that one, and then he switches back and he's in the other one, and it's like he's kind of just catching up with where he is, and then it kind of all just ends together. That's how I picked it up.
Well, it's kind of cool because it really does kind of bring in that like multiverse idea that there's 10,000s of me, and all of these dimensions are pushing against one another. So that does make it seem like he is just bouncing between realities, and there's different versions.
Or he has dementia, and this is
Yeah.
it's all been like his mind going bonkers.
Yeah, it could be. Really quick before we move on, though, the thing that I hated right in the start, which Eric, we've talked about that we love in all the other ones, dude, the title card sucked in this one.
I know. Oh my God. Yes. What a great point. The title card was weak as balls. Not good.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be mean, Eric, but it looked like a WWF, like, raw.
I'm gonna double down right now. I think the spheres look the worst ever in this one too.
I know.
Doubling down.
It seemed like they tried to make it a little bit more comedic in this one, like the way that they were just spurting. Did they do that in every single film? They just like kill someone and then spurt out blood in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Pretty much, but I think
Yeah.
for the most part, those spheres are physical spheres. They're not CGI as much as they are. In this one, it's heavily CGI.
I feel like it's all CGI.
Shitty CGI. No, but like when they're laying on the bed and it's hitting the head, I think that's a physical like thing squirting out blood. But aside from that, when they're flying, all CGI. There's no practical stuff there.
If you were to tell me that this movie, because it came out in 2016, if you were to tell me this movie came out in 2004, I would believe you 100%. Not even just because of the CGI didn't look good. The camera seemed like it was like Trailer Park Boys quality. Like it was like low quality camera. The lighting was like the background was like very white. And I was like, man, they're not even like lighting this well. Like I feel like this is the worst one looking.
Okay, well, let's walk through some stats real quick. Like you said, this came out 2016 on October 7th. It's an hour and 35 minutes. It's got a 54% Rotten Tomato critic score, a 28% audience score, and the budget in box can't find it. And that's because, Eric, this is your point, it doesn't have a budget. It's a passion project. People putting in their own money to make this film. And I think they probably found someone who was, or a few people that are like, hey, do you want to be involved in a Phantasm movie? And there's some animators out there, like, look at Dom. Like, there's people that would, like, if Don got an opportunity to work on something, he'd be like, I kind of want to do this for free, even. So I think give him some bones and stuff. But, like, that's what I think happened here, if I had to guess.
Yeah, well, I noticed a lot of the actors, like the side characters, don't have, like, IMDb's or Wikipedia's. And the only guy I recognized was that Demeter guy. And he was in, like, The Fugitive and Cody Banks. Like, I've seen him in a bunch of he was in Lost, too. But he was also in Bubba Hotep, which was Don Coscarelli's other kind of big movie. So he brought a lot of those people over.
Yeah, and did you see the mid-credit scene?
Oh, yeah, I want to save it for the end, yeah.
Oh, we'll save it for the end.
Yeah.
Mike, did you watch the mid-credit scene after the credits started rolling? Or did you immediately shut it off?
No. So the credits started rolling, and then it can. Yeah, I do want to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll save it. I just wanted to see if you watched it.
I wasn't sure if there was going to be another because I watched it on Prime, and then it immediately went back to the fourth one. It was like, hey, like this is up next, and I didn't want to click on it on purpose, and then it just stopped. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if there's another random like false ending in another scene somewhere. So
Yeah, it's another cliffhanger. They all end, every single one of them ends, Mike, with basically like them running away from the tall man. They're like, I think we got away. And all of a sudden, like the window breaks and he's like, "Rah!" And then it's just over. Like all of them end like that.
One of my other favorite parts of this movie is just picturing you watching this on like a Tuesday night and being like, what am I doing with my life?
Oh no, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I actually kind of liked it.
Yeah, I feel like Mike really, yeah, you said you liked Reggie last time, and I'm like, this is the Reggie movie. It's all Reggie this time.
He wasn't as, I mean, yeah, he was creepy still at the first
Yeah,
girl. Yeah,
dude.
he's such like a creeper, but I don't know. I think it's so funny how like piece of shit he is secretly.
Yeah, I like that he was like actually about to get laid this time, but he fell asleep.
He always is about to get laid, and then this tall man screws it up.
Well, I thought every girl turned him down.
They do, and she kind of did too. Like his pickup line was ridiculous in this one. What did he say to her? He's just like, I've been on the road a long time, and she's like, I'm getting uncomfortable, Reggie. And he's like, no. I'm gonna write you a song. It's like, wait, what, Reggie? What the fuck are you talking? And then his song is like about like caressing his lover, and I'm like, you don't know her, Reggie, at all.
And then he sings it again to other Dawn, who is not Dawn. I forget her name, Karen or something.
Okay, wait. Let's walk through the movie a little bit. Let's try to
Okay.
get
Luck,
right.
good fucking luck.
All right. We already talked about the very beginning, Reggie walking out of the desert. They do a big recap of the entire series, but the first thing that happens is Reggie, he sees his car, so he like stops this guy in the middle of the road, and he gets in, and we find out, well, it is Reggie's car, and you're like, how did this guy get it? So he fucks with him. He's like, I have a gun in the middle, and then the guy reaches forward. He's like, oh wait, it was here.
In the glove box.
Yeah. So it's like got its couple cool moments, couple cool lines, kicks the guy out of the car, leaves him naked on the side of the road, and then the sentinels start chasing him. We get a very bad CGI driving, shooting montage.
But he makes him take off his clothes. Like, was
Yeah.
that to prevent him from like shooting him or something? Or
Nah, he's a creep.
I guess the guy was wearing Reggie's jacket. He's like, oh, that's a nice jacket.
oh, good point, Mike. Good catch. I was like,
Yeah.
why do you have to go full naked?
It adds to his creepiness. He's just like, let's take off them boobies.
All right, I'll take the jacket off. No, take everything off. It's like, come on, man. I don't have sunscreen. It's the desert. Like,
It's also like, I love it's supposed to be Oregon too. Like that's the other thing. And like we drove through Oregon. I don't remember seeing that at all.
I think they filmed this in southern Southern California is where I heard they filmed most of this.
Yeah, I liked Oregon. Oregon was pretty.
And it takes place in Oregon. They all do. And even the license plate still says Oregon. But yeah, I don't know where they're supposed to be because I'm like, that desert is not Oregon. But okay, so then after that, he steals a car, goes for a ride, kills some sentinels, and then he wakes up in the asylum, and Mike is there, and he tells me he has dementia, and he's like, it's the tall man. He's crazy. It's not me. He's the tall man. So Mike's like, okay, yeah, sure, you do have dementia. Okay. And we kind of see him flash back and forth between the desert driving scene and then the asylum. So he bumps into this woman named Dawn on the side of the road. And yeah, just like every other movie, he's just like, I need a place to stay. I'll give you a ride, blah, blah, blah. And they go back to her house. And yeah, that's kind of where we left off. He's all creepy with her.
He's like, we should stay here a while. It's crazy, this movie.
Yeah, and then Dawn gets killed, like in her sleep or something. He like walks in on her getting killed.
He goes up to check on her, and like she's getting her head completely taken out by one of the balls, and it's like he's like, "Come on!"
Yeah. Well, he's like, very upset over Dawn, even though he had only met her the day before.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, does he go out to the car right after that to get all his weapons?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he picks up nunchucks.
He's got his like quadruple barrel shotguns.
How heavy is that bag? Like that bag must weigh like 500 pounds.
Yeah.
And he's like running around with it on his back. I'm like, Reggie, you're like 60 and you're an ice cream man. And you also, okay, can we just say this? The last one ended, Reggie was probably like, I mean, realistically in his 40s, maybe even early 50s. Now he's like in his late 60s and we're not supposed to acknowledge any time has changed.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I don't know if you noticed when it flashes back and forth between like the asylum and like the post-apocalyptic world.
His hair.
His hair is like dyed black.
They gave up halfway through the movie.
Yeah. Or I don't know if it's supposed to be like reality versus like what's going on in his brain because he's secretly, I don't want to give away the ending, but
It's just I noticed that like halfway through the movie they just stopped dyeing his hair, and I was like, what the Jesus, guys.
No, I think it was just the difference between the asylum and the other world.
It was different than different dimensions. They're different.
Yeah.
Well, then where's the dimension where he has a full head of hair?
No, he
Reggie would like to know that too.
hasn't had a full head of hair since 1979. He didn't even have it in the first one.
You're right. He's always had this, like the George Costanza, but with a ponytail.
Real quick, my other favorite parts is like the tall man's taking everything from me, my brother, my job, and it's just him driving the ice cream truck. I think I giggled my ass off so hard when I saw that.
He loved that job.
He did. He really did. He did love that job.
You know what's so sad? In the second one, Mike, Reggie has a wife and kid, and they talk about him in this one, and they have the house, and like a nice house, and it blows up. And I'm like, Reggie was an ice cream man, and in 1988, he could afford an entire house and have a wife and kid, and he was an ice cream man. Like, my God.
Not in this economy.
No.
Well, his wife was probably an attorney or something.
We can only hope. She's like a stay-at-home wife. It's like, seriously? He's an ice cream man. It's like 1988.
The ice cream business is good.
Yeah. All right, so where do we leave off? Don dies. Reggie goes on the run. He gets all of his guns.
He runs into Demeter in the barn.
Oh yeah, this scene was just such a this whole scene is a waste of time.
Doesn't speak a lick of English.
Yeah, and he's like, I have a hammer. I'm gonna kill you just because. And he's like, no. And then just the ball kills him, and Reggie just wakes up in the asylum again. So I love how they just were like, hey, listen, if we don't know how to end this, just cut back to the asylum, and then we'll just pick up later. It'll just jump in the future later. It's like, all right. So it becomes hard to know or care about, like what are we supposed to be caring about? Because we don't know what's real.
Yeah.
But the one scene, Eric, that I do like, and maybe you like this too, because, you know, they kind of try to add a little context to the series, is when the tall man and Reggie are talking in that white room. And he's trying to be like, you miss your wife and daughter. And they haven't brought them up since the second movie. So you're like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, they're trying. Did you like those scenes, Eric?
I love them.
Good. I will also say, whoever did the makeup in those scenes, my God, there's like 2 pounds of makeup on Angus Scrimm's face.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about like when like she came out as like a zombie?
No, when they're just talking in that white room, I was like, dude, Angus Scrimm has like, he looks like he's a mask on.
Well, he died the year this came out, right?
Yeah.
In 2016. So he died like probably before this came out, is what I would guess, or maybe like right after.
So they finished it in 2014, but they couldn't get a distributor. So it came out 2 years later.
That makes sense. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because like it feels like, damn, he was moving around and acting good still.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, that makes sense. Two more years.
Did he move? I think he was just standing still in every shot.
He was not moving. He was totally still.
They even did a couple lines where it's like he's talking telepathically. He's like, listen, I don't think Angus can say these lines. I think we should just have it be telepathic. And he'll just stand there.
Like use lines from the second one and see if anyone notices.
Yeah, it was getting, but you know, hey, he was old, so I get it. But yeah, I did like that. They try to fill in a little bit of plot. It doesn't really work at all.
It doesn't stick. Yeah.
No. And then after Mike says or after Reggie's like, I want my friends back, and the Coleman's like, no, you're not getting them back. Reggie wakes up in this like asylum too, but it's a different one where it's like he's getting like brain surgery done on him, and then these 2 people come and rescue him. And it's Dawn, but she's not Dawn. You're like, okay, why is this a thing? But it's her, and then it's another guy, Chunk, and they save Reggie, and they take him out, and they bring him to Mike. Mike's back.
And like you get the sense like, oh, this is the real thing that's going on, right? It's not what Reggie walking to the desert. It's not the mental asylum.
I didn't get that sense. I didn't get that sense anywhere in this movie.
Is this what dimension are we in? Are we in when he was walking through the desert time?
They explained nothing.
Probably that then.
They explained absolutely nothing. They're like, okay, there's Dawn, and then there's
The lavender lady or whatever.
another woman that's whatever her name was. And then there's Chunk. Was he in any of the other movies, or is he
No.
just new?
No.
So he becomes like some total like badass character.
Well, he's with Mike. He's like, there's like a squadron.
I think you're right, Eric. I actually think that this is the real reality of Mike and Jody and all of those guys. And that redheaded desert stuff, I think that's a dream. I think the mental asylum's a dream. And I think this is the real reality, Eric. I do think you're right. Because Jody's in this one, too.
It's like he's been playing with his mind, right? And now
Yeah.
Reggie just broke out of that. That's what
Yeah.
it makes you feel like. Whatever we just watched is just the tall man messing with Reggie.
Yeah, and I think Reggie might have been in like a coma, and that's why I think they're trying to justify that's the real world. Because Jody is like bad in the third one, he comes back a little bit in the fourth one, and then this one he's definitely good, and he comes back at the end. You're like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is the real one. I'm pretty sure. But you're right, Mike. Nobody fucking knows. There's no wrong answers.
Jody died in the first one too, and then I don't know what's real.
I didn't see him in the last one.
I can't remember if he was in, because like he just comes and goes like in every other movie.
He was in 4 for a bit at the end.
Was he?
Yeah, he was in it.
I remember he popped up in this one. I'm like, who is this guy?
I remember asking you last time, like, hey, what'd you think of Jody? You're like, who? I don't even know who the guy was.
So, Mike, at the end when Jody pulls up, they're like, Jody! You're like, who the fuck is Jody?
I was like, well, they did show a flashback earlier of Jody getting killed, and I'm like, okay, so he's not dead, I guess. And they don't explain why he's alive. He's just like, oh, you're here, and that's it.
Let's go back though. We're almost at this part with Jody.
Oh, you're right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So
they're in like the hospital, and he's following Chunk. They meet Mike. We find out there's like this team of resistance people that are fighting the tall man.
It's like the resistance. Yeah, exactly.
And it's turned into like Terminator Mad Max world where there's massive spheres blowing up cities with lasers, and they're fighting. And the Reggie goes like, let's go home. And then Mike goes like, just so you know, Reggie, there's not much of a home to go back to. And then all of a sudden it cuts out, and it's the worst CGI you've ever seen. It looks like a virtual boy. Everything is super red, and it's just blowing up. And yeah, so what happens next? They have a big fight? Like there's a big gunfight with all the spears and people getting shot and killed?
Yeah, like it's like he gets brought back to the mental asylum, right? Or the old home.
Yeah.
And then it kind of it's all blending together, and he realizes like, oh, my mind it's here, and then he like start shooting at all the doctors and stuff at the asylum. I don't know. It was freaking crazy.
Isn't that when Mike says, "Oh, I had a dream, and I'm remembering everything you told me, and I think I have a sphere in my head still."
Yes, you're right.
And then they flash back to the asylum, and then he's got a rocket launcher.
Yeah, well, how about Mike explaining to him everything, and he's just like, "Yeah, there's an apocalyptic world, and blah blah blah," and it's like their heads would explode, and like it would just like show some dude's like head explode. It's like, it was bad shit, Reggie. I just love the line. It was like, it was bad shit.
I was just like thinking about it. So early when they're going to the mental asylum, trying to convince Reggie that he's crazy, Mike's like, you have dementia, and you've told me the story like 30 times. And then later he's like, no, everything you've been saying is right. I'm like, okay, so if the tall man is trying to convince Reggie that he's crazy, why would he have Mike tell him that he's not crazy in the end?
The only explanation we get about why Reggie's even involved is basically at the end when the tall man goes, every tall man needs like a distraction, and that's why that's what Reggie is. So it's like I think it just kind of throws away any logic.
Yeah, but like I'm like starting to feel like, Mike, you have a great point. It doesn't make any fucking sense, and nothing does. For the record, but I literally feel like it's all these dimensions coming to a point. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, just so you know, like, we find out that because he's been obsessed with Mike, the tall man has been obsessed with Mike the entire franchise. Like, he's constantly chasing him. And I think this movie kind of explains that he's like, you are my like project or whatever. So he is special to the tall man. And I think that also kind of justifies where the conversation in the White Room when, you know, Reggie's like, I want my friends back. He's like, why do you fucking care about your friends? Like, you know, I'll give you your wife and daughter back. He's like, I don't care about them. I want my friends. So he's really doesn't want to give him Mike. And then we find out, I think in the third one, Eric, they're like drilling into Mike's head and he's got the ball in his head already. And that's where and then we see him in this one doing the stitches or whatever. So he's always had a ball in his head. So he is like good. He's good, but he's like, you know, got a bad thing in him.
He's like an outlier.
Yeah. And Jody's his brother. And Jody is like bad in some of them and good in some of them. It's kind of weird. It's ambiguous. But yeah, so then we get this big final battle where they all go through the portal and like Don and Chunk are being held captive. and they just kill Dawn, and you're just like, why was she in this movie? Like, who is this girl? They just snap her head around like The Exorcist, and then when they show her dead body in the ground, she's like just normal. But you're like, okay. And they had this kind of back and forth where the tall man says to them, like, yeah, you're my project, Mike, and Reggie is just a distraction that every tall man needs. You're like, what the fuck? So Chunk is like, I got this, boys. And he blows everybody up in a grenade, and
he like has like 5 grenades on him and pulls the pin, and he jumps on the tall man.
Yeah. So then, but when the one happens, because like the portal blows up and like Reggie and Mike and Jody are pumped out, and then they get in the car. What happened?
No, remember he wakes up on his deathbed, doesn't he?
Oh, well, that's as they're driving, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. They get in the car. Jody picks them up, and they're like, Jody! Oh, okay. No explanation needed.
That's exactly all the dimensions coming together.
And then Reggie falls asleep in the back.
He's dying.
Yeah, and they're saying they're going to go north because it's cold, and the tall man hates cold, which is true, Eric. Remember that from the third one? That he has like the bottles of ice around the building. You're like, why does he have these if he hates cold?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
So they're like, we'll go north because it's cold or whatever. And Reggie's like ambiguously dying in the back, and the whole time he's like, I missed you, Jody. I love you.
Yeah, it's like, it's just so grateful to see you both. Like, that's what he
Yeah.
says. And it's like, oh. And but like that's what's great about these movies is like you're at least 45 watching this movie and has seen the first one. So like these movies have been a part of your entire lifetime. It's movies are 37 years from the first to this one. So that scene might make the room really dusty for some people. I'm sorry.
It does. You know what it does though, Eric? Because we never do meet Jody or Reggie's wife and kid, and it does make you seem like the power of friendship. It's like these are the characters we care about. We want them together, and they care about each other. And even Reggie says a line when the tall man's like, "Why do you want your friends?" He's like, "You could never understand." And it's like, oh, Reggie loves these guys.
Yeah. But it also makes you ask the question, like, is this just a dementia patient's brain? Like,
Right.
And there's like stuff firing off the forks, the tuning forks, the balls, or is that like the chemicals in the brain? You never know what the hell this movie is.
But they show that as they're driving away, like, they're heading north. It's Jody, Reggie, and Mike. They're in the car. And then it goes to what Mike was just talking about. It's like it's Reggie's deathbed. And Jody and Mike Mike are sitting there and they're holding him as he dies. And then you think maybe Reggie dies in the car too, but but then he doesn't because the mid-credit scene he's alive. So they keep driving in the car, and then the music plays, and then the credits roll. But then the mid-credit roll scene. Let's go.
Mid-credit roll scene. So Mike doesn't recognize the woman who shows up. Alec, would you like to explain?
Okay, I was about to ask. I actually I like in my notes. I'm like,
that one's from the third one, so you missed that one, Michael.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like the Dawn of the third one, but she's like really badass. And I was pissed off when they got rid of her because she doesn't die. She just like drives away. She's like, all right, fuck off. And she just leaves. And you're like, oh.
That was a cool surprise having her come back for that last scene.
That was sick. I wish it was her, and Tim, the little kid, Eric. I wish it was them.
Oh my god, it was Tim instead of Chunk or whatever. So anyway, so there's a tuning fork in the desert.
Yeah.
And Chunk, who had 6 grenades attached to him, climbs it through the thing, and his hand is gone.
That's it. Just his hand. Everything else is fine, but just his hand.
well, he's like very heavily charred.
Yeah, but like come on. He should be.
No.
He should be all over the place, exploded. Like.
So she picks him up, carries him to like a little house or whatever, patches him up, and then he's like, do I have a chance? And she's like, I don't see any other men around. He's like, nice. And then there's like, our ride's here, and then it's Mike, Jody, and Reggie, and they're like, hey, what's up, guys? And then they get in and they drive away, and that's the real ending, I guess. So everybody's fine and they're heading north. So you're like, they could make another one, and I hope they do, because fuck it, I like these movies.
Like in 2029, they make one more. It's like, Jesus Christ.
I mean,
put it down. Just put it down.
I'm down. I'm into it. I'm into it.
I mean, if I had a lot of money, I think that would be one of the things. Like, if I win the lottery, it's like, all right.
What if Jeff Bezos is a huge Phantasm fan?
He would. If he was a Phantasm fan, we'd see a Phantasm 6.
Or like Elon Musk. Like, they're just like, I don't care. I want to fund it.
Bezos' money was like, I want to do my own Lord of the Rings without Peter Jackson. It's like, ooh, that's not a good. He's like, I'm doing it. I don't care. It's like, oh, the first season wasn't that good. It's like, I want a second season. It's like, geez, Louise, this guy
Yeah.
has money.
But Phantasm's such like a smaller scale, so it could be like really sick.
Someone needs Bezos' money and make Phantasm 6. That's what we need.
Imagine a $600 million budget. Phantasm 6.
Alec, I'm in.
It's like got Avatar's budget.
I'll go see it in theaters. I don't care.
Really quick before we give our final thoughts, we were texting about this and we didn't reveal our what we decided. But I chose who I think of the three of us, which each of our characters would be in this film. And Mike, I think you did the same. Eric, did you also pick?
Yeah, let's hear what everyone else says first. Sure.
Okay. All right, Mike, do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I forgot to do that.
I thought you did. Oh.
I'm lying too, dude. I had no idea about. I forgot.
I was gonna make it up, but
I want to hear yours, and I'll agree or disagree.
Yeah.
You go. You seem like you want this, so
It's a hot take. It's a hot take.
a hot take. Do it.
I think Reggie is Mike. And I think Jody is Eric.
Okay.
And I think I'm Mike. Thoughts?
oh, I love it. I love Reggie.
I mean, I'm in. Why am I Jody? Like, why Jody?
Because I don't know why you kind of remind me of him.
I just show up. What's up, guys? Random Tuesday.
I don't know. Yeah, you just pull up in the car. You're like, hey, guys. It's like, Eric.
Eric's here. Shut up.
Where have you been?
How did you get the car?
I don't know, man. I just kind of found it.
I don't know why. For some reason, Mike, you remind me of Reggie a little bit, Mike. I don't know why. I don't know. The loyalty.
The loyalty.
Like the friendship loyalty. He's like, that's
Okay.
my friends. I don't care about anything. I'll fucking kill people. He loves ice cream. Mike, you love ice cream. Mike?
You do love ice cream.
I do love ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant and I still love it.
Another thing that reminds me of Mike is like someone handing Mike like a shotgun. It's like there's also a backup shotgun, and Mike's like, wait, what if I tape them together and make a big shotgun?
Oh my god.
That's another thing I could see Mike doing, and it just backfiring terribly.
I actually love that weapon.
There's no way the recoil on that would just knock you out. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
No, I'm an ice cream man. Ice cream strength.
Ice cream. Yeah, a lot of protein in ice cream. All right. Well, overall, I mean, to me, I think this is the weakest one. I didn't hate it, but I think it's of the four. It's my least favorite. But Eric, what do you think?
I just think it's really cool. 37 years. Not a lot of movies can say that. So it's kind of bittersweet that this is our last Phantasm movie.
I know.
Until they make another one.
Unlikely, but I hope they do. But so, Mike, did you like this one more than the fourth one then?
Of the two that I saw, this is definitely my second favorite. So,
You're like, I barely remember the fourth one.
I do remember liking the fourth one more, though.
Yeah.
This one is better than this one.
I just felt like they couldn't decide on what the ending should be, so they're like, we're just not going to really tell anyone anything, and we're just going to like keep going back and forth between all these realities, and then never give any solid information on anything.
Like 6 different movies going on. Let's just say they're different dimensions. Have a ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still pretty short, so they're like 4 short films stitched together, kind of. Yeah, you know, it doesn't go out with a bang, but it definitely goes out with potential for a sequel or reboot, whatever, and I'm totally on board. If I ever hear they're doing Phantasm 6 or a Phantasm remake, I am in. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, me too. I'm in for the podcast.
Alec, why would you be Mike? Why would you be Mike out of the bunch?
I don't know.
Because it's like I kind of hurt my head with a ball.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Just the way how he explains things to stuff people, I think is a good way to say you're like him.
Maybe that, but I also think like it was just like elimination. Like I'm like, I don't see myself as Reggie or Jody. I was like, I like it's like a default.
What about Chunk? Who would be Chunk?
Not Chunk. No offense to Chunk.
Not that fucking Chunk.
All right, really quick before we wrap up, we've known Mike since he was like 5 years old, and Mike's got some big news that we want to record here on the podcast so that we can listen back to in 30 years and be like, hey. So, Mike, what's your news?
Well, I am getting married, and I'm having a son, and I'm going to name him Reggie.
Oh my God, I hope that's fucking true. Reggie Valenti.
No, it's not true. But I kind of, we'll see what Samantha thinks.
This meet Reggie, Jody, Valente, everybody, and you're Mike. So it's like, oh my God, Mike, please.
Reggie, Jody, Silverball Valenti.
This movie has changed my life, and I will raise my son accordingly.
Will you show your son Phantasm 1?
Mike hasn't even seen Phantasm 1.
No, we're going to start with 4, just the way I did.
Just how I was raised.
Star Wars it. Yeah, start with 4.
Oh, yeah, exactly, like Star Wars, exactly. Well, congratulations, Mike. Very happy for you.
Thank you.
And I have no experience with children, so I can't give any words of wisdom.
Congrats, Mike. Yeah, keep him away from Summer. Keep him away from the dog. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want that kid near Summer.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'm kidding.
God.
I can't wait to meet the little guy.
2 strange uncles to meet.
Uncle Eric and Uncle Alec.
That's us. But Mike, congrats. Oh fuck, we gotta spin the wheel.
Isn't on one left?
No, I don't know.
I'm pulling it up. Sorry. Spinning. Final Girls.
All right, Mike, thanks very much for joining us, and we will see you all next week with Final Girls.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here.
Bye, Mike.
See ya.
Woo! Well, that was fun. We did it. We covered all 5 Phantasm movies. We hope you enjoyed listening to all of our thoughts on that amazing series, as crazy as it is. And we'll see you all on Monday with something new.